The shooter was from Indiana. It's a clear 49 degrees. I'm Parker Carlson. Here's what's trending at 9:02. 5 people shot to death inside a Louisville bank on Monday.
The suspect has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, white male, 23 years of age, who was employed at Old National Bank.
Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel. It said that Sturgeon was from Indiana, a graduate of Floyd Central High School in Floyd's Knobs. Investigators say he was recently informed that he'd be losing his job at the bank. Their actions were justified. Harrison Silcox reports on what the Lawrence County prosecutor said about an officer-involved shooting.
It was 3 a.m. February 5th when Lawrence County and Mitchell police officers stopped a car being driven by Anthony Richmond. Officers said Richmond had drugs in the car, and he took off, running across a 5-lane highway. He took out a gun and fired at police, hurting 2 officers before they shot back. Richmond was killed. The Lawrence County prosecutor said after reviewing the evidence, the officer's actions were justified given the circumstances. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indiana State Senate passed a House Bill 37-12 Monday. The bill gives schools 5 days to inform parents if their child requests a name or pronoun change in class. It also prohibits human sexuality from being taught to pre-K through 3rd graders, but doesn't stop teachers from answering questions if a kid does ask. Before the bill goes to the governor's approval, it moves back to the House to vote on an amendment. A Wednesday vote by the Whitestown Town Council could mean an old junkyard site that was once contaminated will be the new site of a new aquatic center set to open in 2025.
When everyone talks about this site, it'll never be used for 100 years. It was an old salvage yard, oil in the ground. But technology and science are at a point where we can. It's just a matter of doing it.
Nathan Wesser on Wish TV. He's in charge of the economic development in Whitestown. He says because more people are moving in, they need to do more. And he says testing has proven the site is safe. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
Eastbound 70 coming into downtown from the west side. Parker, it is a crash at Harding Street, blocking the left lane, stopping traffic past Holt Road. Not quite the Sam Jones Expressway, but this delay is growing. South side, eastbound 465, stopped from Kentucky Avenue to the White River. Also looking at inbound 65, stop and go from 21st Street to the North Split, and a construction zone just popped up in Whiteland. Northbound 65 at Whiteland Road. Right lane is blocked for storm cleanup, and traffic backed up about 1.5 miles. Traffic sponsored by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. One simple act, so much good. Thank you to the 170 million people who have signed up as organ, eye, and tissue donors from organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
Contaminated meds took Carrie's vision and her hope. A shooting stole Ray's sight and his dreams. To those who experience it, vision loss is devastating. But the programs of Bosma Center for Visionary Solutions offer a return to independence. Without your help, though, those programs can't continue. If you act now, you can double the impact of your gift to the Bosma Visionary Opportunities Foundation. Change lives today at bosma.org/donate.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
It's 9:06. Here's your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Sunny skies, very mild temperatures and quiet this afternoon. Today's high 74, partly cloudy, not as chilly, just comfortably cool overnight, a low of 50. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Right now, we've got sunny skies downtown. Radar is looking clear for the rest of central Indiana. It's 49 degrees. We'll see it warming up later on. I'm Parker Carlson on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes. Totally ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today, and in her place, the one and only, the head of the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce, Brad Kloppenstein. You know, it's such a Hoosier move that on the colossal mega talk giant in central Indiana, our replacement is the head of a Chamber of Commerce.
Amen, brother. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. All right, so let's get to, well, I'm alive. I don't know if you're noticing this.
You are alive. I'm surprised. Given where you sit on a daily basis, there are a lot of sniper perches that could take you out.
I am alive, and I went to the Hamilton County Lincoln Day dinner last night. Sat with the state treasurer.
I want to hear about your experience. You know, me and Abdul got to be the keynote speaker at a Lincoln Day dinner this time last year up in Huntington County. So I want to hear how it went for you.
So, you know, it's always an adventure when I go to one of these things because you're going to have a handful of people in the room who would like to see me floating in the Wabash River. But what you learn from these things, Brad, and by the way, huge thank you to the state treasurer, Daniel Elliott. And Daniel Elliott he was the one Republican I voted for last year, which that worked out well. And the reason I did, Brad, and we need more people like Daniel Elliott, not because he invited me to this thing, but because he got huge flack from people in the State House saying, wait, you're going to invite the ultimate Republican agitator to a Republican-based event and let him sit with you, a statewide elected Republican. And he told those people to kick rocks, and he said absolutely because Rob's right.
Yeah, it's because Daniel Elliott is actually qualified to do his job.
Absolutely.
And so there's no problem with him.
He said Rob is right. The things Rob talks about are things you guys should be doing and you're not doing. So I don't care what you people think. I'm absolutely going to have him there. And it's not about whether he actually invited me to be there or not. It's about we need more people in our public offices who are willing to look at those in power and say, you are wrong. And the fact that you can't handle that one person, there's one guy with a platform who has the audacity to point out how you guys aren't living up to your end of the bargain. You guys made the party platform that says we're supposed to be the party of low taxes and limited government. The fact that he's pointing out that you're not doing that, that's your problem. It's not mine.
So I'm guessing probably 300 or 400 people in the audience.
More than that.
Okay.
Oh, I think they said it was the most attended Lincoln Day in the state of Indiana. I think they estimate, I could be off on this, close to 700 people. I mean, that Hamilton County is a big county.
It is
right?
a big, exactly. It's one of the 5 or 6 largest counties in the state, and it's almost all Republican. So what was the reception for you personally? I would think in that room, it was probably about 50-50.
No, it was overwhelmingly positive, Brad. Okay. This is my point. The politicians are totally out of step with the people. I can't tell you the amount of people who come up, and it's not even people I know who are like, we listen to you every day. We love you. Thanks for pointing out the things, whether it is the property taxes or these clowns lining their own pockets with $1.5 million in raises while doing nothing for us, or the out-of-control spending, or siding with the angry red-shirted teachers. We are where this show, and yesterday was a reminder, this show is where the people are. I don't know if you know, Brad, we're number one in the money demo. I don't know if you know that.
I heard a rumor about that.
And the reason we're number one is because we're where the people are. And it's the politicians who are not where the people are. And it's just a great reminder when you realize how out of touch the people down the street from us are, and how what we do here every single day represents where the actual taxpayers of the state of Indiana. And look, there's a lot of super liberal, air quote, Republicans in Hamilton County. It's not like it's some bastion of conservatism. And even there, people are, you guys are right. Keep going.
Yeah. Elected officials typically only hear from people who want something, and that typically means they are also special interests. The average person wants you to leave them alone, and so politicians aren't getting called on a daily basis from people saying, hey, will you guys just leave us alone, or maybe lower a few taxes? They're getting called by people who want their streets paved, or they want some little tweak to a law that's going to benefit their client to the tune of millions of dollars. They're never hearing the opposite side of that.
And one thing, and I told somebody this last night, and again, so many people were very, very, very nice, and we love that you listen, and we appreciate you so much. I think the thing I am most proud of in the 6.5 years I've been here is that when I started here and I was doing the weekend show at the time and was a fill-in guy, you would get people when I would say the same things I'm saying now because I was around these people and worked with them, and I know the disdain that the lawmakers have for regular people and how especially conservatives and liberty-minded people, and they laugh at how they use you for your vote. And I mean, I saw this. It was in these meetings. I used to see it all the time. When I was talking about the same things I'm talking about now, very few people believed me. And they would say, wow, there's this radical guy who's on the weekends who is just, he's got to be a libertarian. It's like, I'm a Republican in good standing. I just know what these people are. And it's unfortunate that it was things like COVID and now with the property taxes and with the gas tax, you look at all these things that these Republicans have done, and people have now awakened to this idea that, hey, the things you were saying 6 years ago, boy, I guess they really were right, and people are really willing to walk away from the Republican Party, but that's where you and your libertarian buddies come in, Brad. You got to give them a viable alternative.
You're right. They're halfway there, and I've never been able to bridge this gap. And you hear this, I hear this with my libertarian background. People are like, you're right, the government's too big. We got to do something about this. Everything you're saying is right. And I'm like, great, vote for us. They're like, I can't do that because somebody else might win. It's like, oh, for Pete's sakes.
And so that's the next step is the ultimate walk away from the Republican Party. And you will, we played yesterday the tweet from our super listener Drake saying, what do I do? Who do I need to tweet? Who do I need to talk to about the property taxes? That ship has sailed. It's not that you can't talk them out of it at this point. Jeff Thompson knows exactly what's going on with property taxes in the state. Todd Houston knows exactly what's going on. Rod Bray knows exactly what's going on. All of them. I mean, they all know. It's not that they don't know. It's they don't care. And so now ultimately you have to decide how much abuse you are willing to subject yourself to of your money. If you will kneel at that Republican altar above all else, then you deserve whatever you get. If you are mad about your property tax bill that showed up in the mail, you have to ask yourself, did I vote for an incumbent?
Oftentimes, yes.
And if you voted for an incumbent and you listen to this station and you know what these people are and you still vote for the incumbent Republican, then you deserve whatever you get because you are emboldening the people who have always behaved in the same manner in which they have always behaved.
Now, Rob, my job is not to be here and pat you on the back.
No,
however, I did show you your little radius of the impact the votes made that, and that was with Jeff Moore.
Yeah.
That, he was getting 6% within the radius of, actually, I think a little bit better than 6% within the radius of WIBC.
He almost got the 10% in the 60-mile radius from downtown Indianapolis, which is our core listenership.
Right.
And then the rest of the state, it's back to the 3%. I'm the most influential libertarian in the state, Brad, and I'm not even a libertarian. You guys have got to step it up. Somebody, you need a rich guy. That's what you need. You need a really, really rich guy. You need a Jefferson Shreve. You need a Mike Braun. A really rich, and it could be a woman too, a really rich, bored man or woman who says, I got just more money than I know what to do with, and I'm going to spend it on running for politics. That is your job by 2024 is to find that person.
Step one, find somebody rich.
You run the chamber, Brad. You hang out with rich people. You know rich people. That is your job to make that happen. All right. When we come back, utility bills could be on the rise. Speaking of the Indiana General Assembly not caring about you at all, they did something that went under the radar in March that could see your utility bills dramatically increase. Siding with the cabal over you. It's the Indiana Republican Party way. We'll talk about it coming up next. It's Kendall and Casey Show. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey on 93 WIBC.
The pothole. Formed in colder months, tiny fissures are born. And in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Spring is a key time for selling homes in Indianapolis. Now is the time to hire the agent that has the proven marketing plan to maximize the price of your home fast. Now is the time to hire the agent I recommend, Mark Dietl. Maybe you're worried because your home needs costly repairs or upgrades. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Melissa and Leonard in Mooresville had to say about working with Mark Dietl. We needed to move out of the state for a job change and needed to sell quickly. We heard about Mark Dietl on the radio, and everything Mark claims is true. Our home sold in 25 days for cash at the price we needed, but we're afraid we wouldn't get. Hire Mark Dietl. Call the agent I trust and recommend for the details. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl, 317-755-4232, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
Announcing Palavana Cubano, the newest and tastiest Cuban sandwich restaurant in Indy, located in the Garage Food Hall in the Battle Works district. Palavana Cubano is dedicated to serving authentic, mouth-watering Cuban sandwiches, coffee, and pastries. If you have never tried a Cuban, you're in for a treat. A warm and inviting atmosphere with colorful decor that pays tribute to the vibrant culture of Cuba. For a quick lunch or relaxing dinner with friends, Palavana Cubano is the perfect destination.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey. And if you've considered doing any home improving, consider the garage, especially with the help from Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Here's a review. I recently worked with Rick and his team to help me with concrete coating project in my garage. I couldn't be happier with the results. From start to finish, they were professional, courteous, and efficient. They went above and beyond to make sure I was satisfied with the final project. You'll be satisfied too. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Whether it's for the garage, the driveway, the pool deck, even the patio, they can do it all and make the space so much better. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
And now Martha Stewart for Skechers. When I make a dish or embark on a craft project, I always use the finest, most fabulous ingredients and materials. Which is why, when it comes to footwear, I love Skechers. Because Skechers is the comfort technology company and uses the most luxurious, innovative materials and designs to make wondrously comfortable footwear with all the fits and features like Arch Fit and Skechers' world-famous air-cooled memory foam. It's exactly the way I'd make shoes.
Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Shop Drexel Interiors for carpet and get free padding. Yes, buy carpet, get free padding. Only at Drexel Interiors. Visit Drexel in Carmel or on North Shaylin. Find Drexel at drexel-in.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
He's out of control.
And Casey Daniels.
Isn't she the best?
On 93 WIBC.
One thing you can always count on is the Indiana Republican Party will totally take care of their big business buddies at your expense, and it just happened again right under everyone's nose, except for, well, this little radio station. Going to let you know all about it. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey today, and well, Brad, it seems that in March, and look, we got to give credit where credit is due. Indy Star with the breaking story on this, and by the way, the reason it takes so long to find all this stuff is because they do so much damn shifting and manipulating and tucking, and there's a gajillion things you have to watch, and there's just not enough people to watch these people at the State House.
There's not. I mean, when we were talking about show topics, that was one of the things that we were talking about potentially getting into was just how ugly the legislative process has become, be it Christmas tree bills that'll have 100 different items in there, some good, some bad, some indifferent. You've got amendments that get slid in after public testimony is closed on a bill. And you end up with things like this.
Yeah, I mean, what is even the point of this? It's got to go out of committee. It's got to pass committee. Things get in these bills all the time that didn't pass committee, never got heard in the committee. It's like this just glorified floor show. And then at the end, without any public input or telling the public what's going on or testimony, it made it in this bill, and it helped 7 people at the expense of everyone else.
So what we're talking about is Indiana utilities have now, at least as the bill stands, been given the ability, the governor signed it.
Yes,
it passed.
it's March 22nd.
So now utilities, they can pass along the cost of cleaning up coal ash or bad investments and new equipment that automatically gets passed on to the consumer as opposed to their shareholders having to be left holding the bag.
So the way public utilities work, if you're not aware, not public utilities, but utility companies work, is when so Duke Energy, let's use them as an example. When they want to raise your rate, also lower your rate. Don't you love that? They can't just decide they want to lower your rate. They have to go to a regulatory board, because utilities have a monopoly over everything. There is no competition for utility. It's not like Walmart and Target and Walmart and Meijer. You can't shop your utility because they give gajillions of dollars to the politicians. They have total monopolies over utility. Can't shop your gas bill. You can't shop your electric bill. So the fail-safe on all this is supposed to be this regulatory board who can decide whether rates can be raised or not. And what Duke had done several years ago is they had this giant coal ash cleanup, and they had basically, after the coal ash cleanup, gone back to the regulatory board and go, hey, we got to raise rates because we made a boo-boo, and we're not paying for this. Somebody else better clean this up. And the regulatory board said, cool, fine. The court stepped in. There was a lawsuit, and the courts rightfully said, hey, wait a second. The law very clearly states you've got to ask for this stuff in advance. You got to go to the regulatory board and say, we're going to do this coal ash cleanup, and we need to raise rates by 6% or whatever. And the board can make that choice. They didn't do that. So the utility company, who, again, give gajillions of dollars to these politicians, went crying to the politicians and said, you guys better change the law because we had to pay for this, and that's bull crap. And the politicians, because, again, they get, Brad, gajillions of dollars from these utility companies said, why, yes, sir. Right this way, sir, Mr. Public Utility Company. And now, and it looks like maybe even under this specific thing, they can now have bad investments, make bad choices, have huge expenses, and then retroactively go to the regulatory board, who is appointed, by the way, right by the politicians.
By the governor, I believe.
Exactly. And go, hey, we're going to need a little help here, Palsky. And the Republicans just streamlined that. Now, I don't think they streamlined it quite in the way Jim Buck practically tore a hamstring sprinting that bill to Holcomb against term limits in Westfield, or naming the state sandwich, etc. But it's the law now. No. You got screwed once again, so the big business guys can line their pockets.
I hate to say this, but Citizens Energy, I think, is the way that this should be done. One of the problems is you have investor-owned utilities, which means they have stockholders, and stockholders are wanting a return on their investment. And oftentimes, in exchange for profit per share, they skimp on cleanup or the investment in infrastructure. Citizens Energy Group, which is here in Indianapolis, that is a trust. So it is owned by the customers effectively, and so they have a profit motive only in so much as to reinvest in the utility. I think that might be the model, and I tell you, if the investor-owned utilities are not careful, this will be imposed on them as opposed to them getting to choose to go that route.
You people better wake up. And I don't know how many different times, whether it's the gas tax, whether it's the property tax, whether it's something like this. The Republicans keep sticking it right in your face about how they don't care about you at all. I mean, this is just unbelievable that the utility company, the court said, did not play by the rules set forth, that everybody agreed on the playing field. And they didn't play by the rules set forth, and they said, too bad, so sad. You guys are a utility company. You know the rules. You made this mistake. You made this business expense. You didn't come to them before. You can't do it. And instead of standing up for the folks and the Republicans going, hey, look, you guys are the utility company. You know how the game's played. You're making $1 gajillion. Sorry about you. Get lost. They moved as fast as humanly possible to make sure that they're, once again, just like using $500 million, Brad, of our money for the governor to be able to strong-arm farmers to put together sweetheart real estate deals for mega corporations. Once again, we got screwed so the big business guys didn't lose 7 cents.
Well, this is interesting just because the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission is there to protect consumers. Although appointed by the governor, this seems to be an end run around certainly consumers, but the legislature enacted this and the governor effectively signed away some of his influence. But yeah, whenever you reduce the authority of a regulatory board like that, that is anti-consumer.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Micah Beckwith will be with us. We'll talk all about the big event last night in Hamilton County. We'll talk about what's going on with the Republicans in this state. We'll talk about just the lack of interest in working for you. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Hey, guys, listen up and pay attention closely. Well, pay attention closely if you like making money. Imagine if you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus. Learn how you could get a 35% bonus from Bill Gemery, your retirement guy. Casey and I believe in Bill so much, we became clients too. Not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years and has $2.5 trillion in assets. To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. That's Bill Gemery at 317-932-9912.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today. Today.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
A shooting right across the Ohio River. I'm Parker Carlson for Stockyards Bank. Here's what's trending at 9:30. 5 people are dead after a gunman attacked a Louisville bank yesterday.
The suspect shot at officers. We then returned fire and stopped that threat. The suspect is deceased.
Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel. She says the suspect is Connor Sturgeon, a man from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Then in Tennessee, the Nashville Council voted unanimously to reinstate Representative Justin Jones. Not even a week ago, he was expelled by the Tennessee House for his gun control protest. And here's your live market update on 93 WIBC. The Dow gained 40 points to 33,791. The Nasdaq bumped up a point to 13,159. And the S&P 500 got 5 points to 4,141. I'm Parker Carlson on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Indianapolis is the crossroads of America, the crown jewel of the Midwest.
I'm Jefferson Shreve. I grew up in Perry Township on the south side. I've stayed pretty close to home. Indianapolis, Indiana is my home. The first part of my life was focused on growing a business. And in doing that, I've done some good, employed quite a few people.
But with a crumbling infrastructure and record-breaking crime, can we still say Indy is a jewel of a city?
I think sadly, we've had better, shinier, happier days in our past than we are at today.
Jefferson Shreve has a plan. Hire more police, give them the support they need, and let them do their job. Because we don't have to live like this.
Strong leaders can pull people into a cause and motivate them.
What Indy needs now is a leader with a plan.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I need your vote for mayor of Indianapolis.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
Life is all about enjoying the little moments. Don't miss out on them because of unexpected heart issues. At Community Health Network, you receive heart care you can trust. From simple screenings to life-saving diagnostic and interventional cardiology services, we offer it all, so you can get back to the moments that matter. Learn more about our services at ecommunity.com/heart. Community Health Network. Exceptional care simply delivered.
What would you do with a little extra cash? Quick getaway, organic fruits and veggies, mini shopping spree? It's all possible with Stockyards Bank Extreme Checking. Earn 4% annual percentage yield on balances from $1 to $10,000 by doing things you already do every day. Just swipe your debit card at least 10 times a month on purchases of at least $5, set up a direct deposit, and enroll in e-statements. Splurging is easier with Stockyards Bank. So what would you do with a little extra? Visit syb.com/extreme to learn more today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Drexel Interiors warehouse sale has tens of thousands in inventory, including flooring at 50 cents a square foot, cabinets, vanities, and more. Thursday through Saturday only, 3217 Shadeland Avenue.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Amen. Amen. It's time to go to church. Here to preach to the choir from the bully pulpit, Pastor Micah Beckwith.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. Let's go to the drivehubler.com hotline, joined by the conservative voice of the state of Indiana, Pastor Micah Beckwith. All right, Beckwith, we went to the Hamilton County Lincoln Day dinner last night, and I was really refreshed because you go to those sort of things and the people come up and they tell you how much they love the show and how you're talking about all the things, and you really realize we are where the people are. It's the politicians down the street from us that aren't paying attention.
That's right. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's the politicians are out of touch with the people, and that's why they get so mad when the people express their concern, like you do on the show every day, or like when I do on my social media or whatnot. Like, they don't like it, but it's because they've just kind of lost touch. We've seen this with countless politicians who get elected, and we think that they're one of us, right? We think that they get it, they understand what they need to do, and then it's like they go down there and they go through this massive brainwash, and then a year or two goes by, and then we don't recognize them anymore. And I think really that's what George Washington understood when he stepped down after 2 terms as president. He was he recognized that politics changes somebody, and it shouldn't be a lifelong career. It should be a time of service for a few years and then pass the torch to somebody else. And that's how we keep grounded politicians in the State House.
Yeah, when I go to those things like last night, look, and everybody knows I'm magnanimous and good looking and all those sort of things, so people would want to come up and talk to me. But you can laugh at that. That's really funny.
Wait, you're telling me to laugh? I was laughing. I was chuckling. I was laughing. But I also didn't know if you were somewhat serious. So.
No. Of course, look at me, Beckwith. I mean, I'm not an age in reverse person like you and Nathan. But
I did say yesterday to everybody who was there, I said, hey, We Grow Hair Indy is doing a great thing for Rob. I mean, he looks younger than he did 2 years ago. So.
But people come up and they are talking about what the Republicans are doing, and you realize they are hearing it on our show. And I think that is what I'm most proud about what we've done here the past 6.5 years is we have opened people's eyes to who so many of these Republicans are, and now especially when it comes to their finances, they don't care about you at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they don't care about you at all. There are some good ones down there that really care, and they're trying. They're trying. Well, they're the ones that I think just got elected the last election. They still haven't been completely brainwashed, right? But no, I do think here's the problem. I think a lot of the good ones don't know how to be effective. And then the bad ones who have been there for years tell the new ones and the good ones, you better play the game. If you don't play the game, you won't have any influence, and you won't even have a seat around the table, and you won't be at the cool kids table if you don't go along with what we're doing. I try to remind those politicians who are being kind of strong-armed and say, listen, it's all about influence. If you can influence your community, if you can influence the voice of Indiana, the people, and you can get a tidal wave of voices from outside the State House to back you up, you'll win. But they don't think of it that way. They think, well, I've got to go into the caucus room and I've got to be able to wield influence with these, crony politicians who have been there for 20 plus years. And I'm like, listen, that's part of the game. Sure, I get that. But that's not the entire game. You're missing the whole other half, which is influence from outside the State House. Because I'm telling you, if the people want something done, these politicians, they're not fighters. The ones who have been there for 20 years, they hate conflict. They hate to fight. They want everything in them wants to run from the fight. If you can bring the fight to them, they'll back down pretty quick. But the left does that. The right, we don't do that. We tend to say, well, we need to play nice and, be kind and compassionate and all that stuff. So
I love they just trail off in your voice when you talked about being kind and compassionate.
And there is a place for it. Let me just say that there's a place for being kind and compassionate, but there's also a time for war. I mean, that's Ecclesiastes 3 tells us that. Like to everything, there's a season under heaven, and there's a time for peace and there's a time for war. And we have to Christians and conservatives tend to forget the time for war peace. We want peace, but being a peacemaker is very different than being a peacekeeper. Peacemakers go into evil and they make peace by fighting evil. And I think we get this backwards sometimes. We think, well, God calls us to be peaceful. No, he doesn't call us to be peaceful. He calls us to go and make peace. Big difference from being a peacekeeper. And we're to be peacemakers. But the only way you can make peace in a world full of evil is to go to war with evil and to kill it and to wipe it out.
All right, Micah Beckwith, our guest. You know why I like you, Beckwith, is unlike me, you are willing to admit when you were wrong. And there's so many people, we got a phone call, I think, yesterday about this, that are very upset that you supported Todd Young. And you have now admitted, you have said, hey, my bad, that was a huge mistake.
It was a mistake. I mean, listen, I will say this. He's maybe a little bit better than Tom McDermott, the Democrat who was running against him.
That's the Republican standard now? Is he better than McDermott?
Whoa. Listen, I actually think the problem is Republicans are dropping the ball at the primaries. And we've made it really hard for good people like Danny Niederberger, who was running against Todd. He couldn't get on the ballot. And I would have loved to have had a chance to vote for Danny over Todd in the primary. But they keep him off the ballot, and then we have this crony politician kind of world that we live in, and they elevate their friends and they keep out their competitors. And so then you get to the general, and we're left with Todd doing what Todd does. And Todd, about a week and a half after, maybe it was a little longer than that, maybe a couple weeks after the election, he voted for the Disrespect of Marriage Act, or they called it the Respect of Marriage Act. But it totally undermines the sacred institution of marriage. And that's when I was done. I said, okay, I cannot support this guy anymore. And he really screwed us over. I mean, he got elected for another 6 years, and then a few weeks later, he said, nope, you know what, all you Christian conservatives out there, I really don't care about you one bit, and I'm done. And Indiana Family Institute, who is not, they don't typically blast Republicans. They were so fed up. I was talking to Ryan McCann and some of the guys over at Indiana Family Institute, and they were like, we're done with Todd. We are going to let everybody know for the next 6 years that Todd Young is not the guy for us, and we cannot believe that he supported this awful, awful bill that undermined the sanctity of marriage. And that doesn't happen. I'm telling you, I was like shocked when Indiana Family Institute said we're going to war with Todd Young. And I was like, man, he's really done it. And so I think that's where I stand as well. I'm just kind of like, we can't have guys like Todd in our Senate seat anymore.
So they're going to send out a big old mailer because they got some resources. And I think this is the thing I think they should do, Micah, because I know some of those people over there are real nice, but I also know some of them have badmouthed me. They should just put a big mailer out that says Rob Kendall was right. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Let's heal the wounds.
I will bring it up at the next meeting that I have with them. So we'll see how that We'll see how that one goes.
But it comes back to the thing we talked about to begin the segment. By the way, Micah Beck with our guest. People will badmouth me, and then I'm right about the thing that they were upset that I had the audacity to say, and it's like there's no apology to me. If you'd have just listened to me, you wouldn't be in this position. You wouldn't be mad.
It seems like a really simple process, doesn't it?
It's a simple process, Micah. I know these people better than I know myself.
Hey, listen. Sometimes the best the best antidote is for bad things to happen, right? I mean, like you see this in culture all the time. You see this in societal breakdowns. As society continues, the pride of somebody's heart gets in the way and says, "No, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right," and then bad things really start happening, and then they wake up. I had a buddy of mine. He's a leftist. He disagrees with me on pretty much everything. He's a Christian, but he's a woke left Christian, and so he texted me the other day, and he does not like Donald Trump whatsoever. I mean, he hates him. And he said, "So, do you think we're going to go to? Is a war with China really a possibility?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it's a very real possibility." And I said it'll probably be an economic war to start, and they will destroy our dollar, and you won't have any way to buy anything, and your dollar would be valueless. And he said, I was just talking to a friend at the State House or at the State Department. He said, yeah, he told me the same thing. He said, I'm really starting to get concerned that I can't provide for my family. And I told him, and he voted for Biden. And I just basically said, I said, well, this is what you get, man. I mean, like, and I don't really feel sorry for people like that. Like, yeah, it's gonna get bad, and you are going to get hurt really badly. But then you'll wake up and you'll run back to the Lord and you'll say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Help me. And that's when the Lord can really actually do something. But we're not there yet as a society. But unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to take. And people are going to have to realize that they were wrong. And bad things make people realize they were wrong.
Okay, so we got about a minute and a half left here, Micah Beck with our guest, and this is why I think you have to run for lieutenant governor, and I'm being serious when I say this, because you can't trust Braun, you can't trust Suzanne, certainly, and the Doden guy's done absolutely nothing. I wasted my very valuable time. I gave that guy a blueprint to be the governor, and he's done absolutely none of it. So you can't trust any of these people, Micah. You got to run because you got to hold them accountable.
Well, I do think that there is a piece that the delegates need to take back the voice of the lieutenant governor. It is the delegates' pick. They get to pick who the lieutenant governor is. We've just, as delegates, given the courtesy to the gubernatorial candidate to pick whoever they tell us to pick. We need to put our person in who we believe would best represent our values as Republican delegates at the convention. That's how it should be every convention. I don't care if I'm running or not. We should do it that way. But to your point about all three of these candidates, I think that they could work out well, but they're going to need to be held accountable. And with Doden, I mean, you got to give Doden a little bit.
He ignored everything, Mike. I gave him a blueprint to be the governor. You sat right next to me. He's done none of it.
They haven't even started hardly campaigning yet. What do you want him to do? I mean, he's not governor yet. I mean, like, so you got to give him a little bit of time to put this stuff into place. So I think, I think there's some good qualities that I see in him, but to your point, if they're not held accountable, and you need that voice in the executive branch that will hold people accountable, and I think that's why I'm considering it.
Yeah, you got to do it. It's absolutely. I need a parking pass over there at the State House, and I need a badge to get it. Do it for me, Micah. Do it for me.
Why are you running for lieutenant governor, Mr. Beckwith? Well, Rob Kendall needs a parking pass, and I got to get that for him. So.
Micah Beckwith, I love it. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thanks. Hey, you guys have a good rest of your day.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, more detail on the leaked documents from the Pentagon and Representative Kat Kamek on what we're seeing on Capitol Hill. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. Who are they? Well, they're a sister company of Rhino Shield, and Premier Deck Coating is the product you need if you're tired of applying the same old stain and paint every couple of years to your deck. It's Terry, Stacy, and David and I have a deck that's probably 25 years old. The countless hours and the money that we spend on maintaining that deck never ends. And then we heard about Premier Deck Coating. Family owned, based right here in Indy, and they are going to completely transform our deck with their special formulated product, which repels moisture, scratch resistant in virtually any color that we want, and backed by a 10-year guarantee. No more spending time staining or painting every year. Premier Deck Coating will keep our deck looking great for years to come. Premier Deck Coating can also do fences and pergolas too. For a free quote, call 317-696-4071 or visit premierdeckcoating.com.
People everywhere are binge watching their money. Now streaming on Lake City Bank Digital. When checking Rhett's savings.
Together we make so much sense.
Also featuring Adventures of the Penny Pincher.
My journey has not been an easy one, but my budget is going to survive.
Watch new episodes of Your Money unfold every day on Lake City Bank Digital. Learn more at lakecitybank.com/digital. Member FDIC.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance.
If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatments. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Join WIBC and Shepherd Community Center as we partner with Gleaners to distribute food to the community the first and third Friday of every month. For more information, head over to WIBC.com.
All right, there's a big event that's going to be taking place, and Brad Kloppenstein is so fired up about it. 93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. Kevin's here. So next year, and I have heard a lot of people talking about this. I think even schools are being canceled or something around this. There is an eclipse that's going to be taking place April the 8th of 2024. It is a total solar eclipse. And you think this is just the biggest thing in the history of ever?
It will be the biggest thing to hit Central Indiana since maybe the Super Bowl, maybe bigger than that. And I know this only because I've been in meetings with other chamber presidents from down in Kentucky and in the path of the last solar eclipse.
No, you say this because your job is you run the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce.
I run the chamber, exactly, Lawrence Chamber of Commerce.
Hashtag
why I love Lawrence.
There you go, yes.
So the last solar eclipse, and that was like in 2018, 2019, passed through Kentucky. I think it caught just a little bit of southern Indiana, other places. But I've been in meetings with other Chamber of Commerce professionals that were in that path, and they said, it doesn't matter how much you plan ahead, it doesn't matter how big you think it's going to be, it is going to be 3 times larger than that. And Indianapolis is in the smack middle path of this next one.
Well, now, wait a second. What do you mean it's going to be larger than that? And like the Super Bowl's an event, so you go to the game.
Millions of people will come in from 600 miles in either direction.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah. So this one is going to be on a Monday afternoon at like 3 in the afternoon. I'm already telling my people out in Lawrence that if you own a hotel, make sure that you're going to have a 3-night minimum on this thing. If you're normally closed on Monday, you need to make sure that you are open on Monday. I've been working with the city to try to arrange for some outdoor entertainment on that day. Obviously, Fort Harrison State Park, which is out in my direction, that will be overrun with people, but there will be people everywhere, and they will be coming in from everywhere that day.
So it just blows my mind that people will travel from, you said 600 miles?
600 miles in any direction.
And it's 3 minutes.
4. 3.5, 4.
The Motor Speedway put out a big thing saying you can come there.
So the Motor Speedway has hooked up with NASA to be like, they're going to produce a show from the Motor Speedway, but it is apparently impressive, life-changing sort of stuff. But they're saying that there will probably be 1 million plus people descend on central Indiana to view this. So think about it. We'll people coming in from Chicago, St. Louis, Milwaukee, anywhere north and west of here. If they're in Cincinnati and kind of southeast, they'll be coming in this way. So
now an eclipse, for those of you who don't know, is where the moon is in front of the sun.
Correct. So we are in the shadow of the moon, and there is no daylight directly hitting the Earth.
So it will go dark.
Yes.
It will basically look like it is, 10 p.m. at night? Is that how it looks?
So I went down to Evansville for the last one. So I was in the area where
You're one of these people, aren't you?
Where there was, I just thought it'd be neat, and I had the day off, so I went down there. But there was still 1% daylight. But it was weird. All the street lights came on. All the birds started chirping. All the nocturnal animals started coming out. They all thought it was nighttime.
Wow. So, and all I've got to do, though, for a lifelong Hoosier is I got to just go in my backyard and I see this thing.
Correct.
I don't have to.
Correct. Yeah, you just put out a lawn chair, but it's an opportunity for you to rent out your house for the weekend or, have Rob's eclipse viewing glasses stand out there or whatever you want to do. But
can you look at the eclipse?
Not. Well,
are you not?
They say you're not supposed to do that directly, just because you don't want to stare into the sun, even if it's at 1%. So.
Now, here is the other question that I have for you. They are saying this is the first time in 819 years that will be visible from Indianapolis.
Correct.
How do they know that? None of these people were here. We were not a country 819 years ago. How do they know that?
Math, Rob. If we would have studied more in school, you and I could predict these sorts of things.
Another thing where I'm supposed to trust the science. Another one of those. Hey, real quick, I did want to point out that apparently we have added another 1.1 trillion to our nation's debt over the first six months of fiscal year 2023. That comes out to $6 billion a day, Brad.
Yeah, these are like Walter White kind of numbers. Just put that $1 trillion over there in the storage unit. We'll get to it later.
And they don't care. These politicians do not care at all. And you think about what Todd Young and those Republicans, McConnell and those guys did, in which they had an incoming Republican Congress who claimed, we're going to get spending under control. And those dudes struck a deal in December with the Democrats to totally chop the legs out from under the incoming Republicans to try to get this thing under control. Man, these people are very sick, maniacal individuals who run this country.
Well, when you were talking to Micah in the last segment, Micah said, I don't know what it is, but politicians, as soon as they get in there, something changes about them.
I mean, they went out of their way, Brad.
Yeah.
Young and McConnell and those guys went out of their way. All they had to do was do nothing. Just sit there until the 1st of January, and then we got, they don't want to get the spending under control.
No, that is not a priority.
All right, Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. When we come back, polling on Trump and DeSantis, Trump truthing, Huckabee talking about Trump. It's all coming up next to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Everything's stuck together.
Mom, Dad, Sis?
Here we go again.
Why are you in a suit? Picture, if you will, a world with the best network imaginable. I'm talking about the Xfinity 10G network. Go on. Mom, remember how your reality shows wouldn't load with all of us online? Now you can binge. And Susie, we'll have fast internet in the basement.
Nice.
If you have any questions, here's my card.
This is just your name on a gum wrapper.
Introducing the 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through April 23rd, new customers can get 200 megabit Xfinity internet during our limited time Xfinity 10G network launch celebration for just $25 a month for 2 years. Plus, there's no annual contract required and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary.
Hey folks, it's Abdul, and I'm running for mayor of Indianapolis. Now, I've lived in the city for nearly 20 years, and I've seen the city at its best, and I've seen Indy at its worst, and lately, been a lot more worse. Record murders and record potholes. We can't expect different results if we re-elect the same people who are responsible for our city's problems. So go to AbdulForIndy.com and read about our plans to take a tough but smart approach to dealing with crime. Read about our creative approach to dealing with road funding, and learn how we can restore public trust in government. Everyone, regardless of zip code, deserves the right to live in a neighborhood with safe streets and good roads. It's time to try something different. Paid for by Abdul for Indy.
There's nothing more important than time. Time for you and time for family. If issues like high blood pressure or high cholesterol run in your family, make time for highly skilled heart care too. At Indiana University Health, you can book a same-day appointment with the state's most preferred provider of cardiovascular care. See a top cardiologist today, then get back to what's most important without skipping a beat. Visit iuhealth.org/heart to book your appointment today.
Woodard M. Hart, Henry, Reeves, and Wagner. Over 140 years specializing exclusively in patent, trademark, trade secret, and copyright law and litigation. On the web at uspatent.com.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Drexel Interior's warehouse sale has tens of thousands in inventory, including flooring at 50 cents a square foot, cabinets, vanities, and more. Thursday through Saturday only, 3217 Shadeland Avenue.
Hubler makes it easy to get your perfect car or truck. Get your vehicle your way. They'll help you pre-order a vehicle built just for you. Visit drivehubler.com.
Everyone knows that soaking in Epsom salts can make you feel better. Now imagine soaking in Epsom salts in a Royal Spa hot tub.
Ah, Royal Spa.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Coming up in 2 minutes, an Indiana man killed 5 people in Kentucky yesterday. Plus, the Purdue stabbing murder trial takes a pause because of mental health concerns. I'm Parker Carlson. All that and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
Documents detailing military intelligence.
The revelations have sent shockwaves through the Pentagon and the national security establishment.
These leaks first appeared on a gaming website, then spread online.
Details about the scope and scale of the leak remain sparse. Most appear to have come from a briefing book prepared daily for the Joint Chiefs and U.S. commanders overseas. Many of the documents came from March 1st, but it is not clear all the documents came from the same briefing book.
That's Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Much of the material relates to Russia and the war in Ukraine. Some leaks report to show that South Korea has been supplying weapons to help Ukraine, angering South Korean lawmakers who believe the U.S. has been spying spying on our ally, though the New York Times reports Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has told South Korea's president some of the documents are fabricated. He's still alive. A Louisville police officer shot in the head trying to stop the gunman on a rampage in a bank.
He remains in critical condition, but he remains stable overnight after some scary moments yesterday when he underwent brain surgery. And officials here are praising both Officer Wilt and all of the officers who responded to this shooting yesterday, arriving here within 3 minutes of those first 911 calls, taking the gunman down.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Louisville. The shooter worked at the bank, but was told he would lose that job. He murdered 5 people and wounded 2 officers and 6 others. The abortion pill controversy simmers.
Massachusetts and California have joined Washington state in securing doses of drugs used in medication abortions. It comes after a federal judge's ruling in Texas that put on hold the FDA approval of mifepristone, which is used in combination with misoprostol to end pregnancy. The judge stayed his ruling for a week so federal authorities could appeal.
Fox is telling you, Jay Powers, the COVID national emergency is over. President Biden signed a bipartisan resolution. The pandemic blamed for more than 1 million deaths in the U.S. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A shooter from Indiana kills 5 people. It's 58 and sunny downtown. Highs are expected to warm up to the mid-70s. I'm Parker Carlson. Here's what's trending at 10:02. A gunman shot and killed 5 people at a bank in Louisville yesterday.
The suspect shot at officers. We then returned fire and stopped that threat. The suspect is deceased.
Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel. It's said that the suspect was from Indiana, a graduate of Floyd Central High School and Floyd's Knobs. Investigators say that he, Connor Sturgeon, was recently informed that he'd be losing his job at the bank. The former Purdue student accused of stabbing his roommate to death last year will not be going to trial yet for his crimes. Kurt Darling reports.
Jeeman Shah was arrested last October after investigators found Varun Chetta stabbed to death in the dorm room the two shared. Since then, Shah has undergone a few mental evaluations, and a judge has ruled that he is not competent to endure a murder trial. Medical experts say he may have schizophrenia and will be held in a mental institution for the next 90 days. During that time, the hope is for Shaw to improve to the point that he can stand trial. Kirk Darling, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Does the bill unfairly target LGBTQ youth, or does it keep parents involved in their child's school life? That's the question surrounding House Bill 1608, which passed 37-12 yesterday in the state Senate, largely along party lines. The bill says that any student that wants to go by a different pronouns or name will have to have their parents notified by the school. It will be seen in the House once more before it goes to the governor's desk for final approval. And is it safe to build an aquatic center on an old Whitestown junkyard? Science says yes.
Definitely quality of life. That's the big thing we're striving for, is having amenities that keep people here.
Nathan Messer, who's in charge of economic development in Whitestown, tells Wish TV that the site is tested and is clean. Their vote by the town council is Wednesday. I'm Parker Carlson, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We continue to save our new customers 30 to 40% when compared to their present individual or small group coverages. Many of our plans feature zero deductible and zero copays, coverage guaranteed to age 65, and the largest network in the nation with 2 A-rated companies. We've been in the same location, with the same phone number for 27 years. We'll be here when you need us. My early mentor in the insurance business was fond of saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always have what you always had. If you're unhappy with your present coverage and price, stop doing what you've always done. Call us at 317-435-1718 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-435-1718 or rragency.org. Thought for the day: if our country's such an awful place, why do millions come here to be free? God bless America, or at least what she used to be.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Trump opens up a big lead on Ron DeSantis, including in his home state. What do we make of that? Let's find out. 93 WIBC. It's the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Brad Kloppenstein. Easy enough for me. I'm Rob. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey today. Kevin's here as well. All right, so there's some new polling out, and Brad, we were always very clear to say polling is for, especially this point in the game, entertainment purposes only, but a snapshot of a moment in time.
It is. Now, are you okay over there? Should I just take it from here? Do you need a break?
It's very hard. It's very hard to be me sometimes.
By the way, you have not commented on my ISTA koozie.
Well,
yet
I love
today.
that. Brad's wife is a teacher, and she's a very wonderful, lovely lady. And in honor of that, Brad brings his ISTA koozie, though it is not the State Teachers Association, because he knows what that would do to me. It is the Seed
Trade Association,
which you can, Brad, if you hold that up there, people will be able to see that on the YouTube. Just a reminder, you can watch us on the YouTube chat, YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. Just put Kendall and Casey into your YouTube search bar, and you can chat as a part of the YouTube viewing experience. Did I get all that?
You did.
I think I checked all the boxes. All right. So let's talk about this polling that's out. And what's really interesting here is that Trump is now ahead of Ron DeSantis in Florida. And this is Victory Insight, who did the polling. And Trump is ahead of DeSantis by basically 8 points, 42.9 to 34.8. I got to say that is intriguing to me. Because, yes, of course, Trump is going to get a bump because of what he's going through, especially amongst Republican primary voters. However, Ron DeSantis is a very popular governor, clearly based on his reelection, and is very, very, very well liked amongst the Republican base. And yet Trump, according to this poll, asserting some dominance over the popular home state governor.
Rob, let's have a very honest conversation.
Yes,
here.
Let's do it. Just you and me, Brad.
It's just two fellas talking over a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
So I think we all know Donald Trump is a very controversial figure who the ship has long since sailed on his ability to bring the nation together. And even back in 2016, when he initially got the nomination, he rarely was getting a majority of even Republican voters in the state primaries.
Yeah.
And I think it is setting up to possibly have the same thing happen this year, where he might win the nomination on a plurality of Republican voters, but there is zero chance that he is ever going to win in a general election. So
now say that again, Brad, because when I say that, people get very angry at me, and you're saying the same thing that I'm. Now you're saying zero. I don't think there's zero, but
okay,
you're say that out loud again, and then I'll allow the hate mail to come to you this time, because we believe basically the same thing.
I will say this again. Trump is not even supported by a majority of Republican voters, and he has very little chance of grabbing any other independents or non-Republicans. So he might get the nomination with a plurality of the Republican vote. However, I say zero. You say there's a 1% chance. You're saying there's a chance.
I think
he could get elected.
Anything can happen, and whatever it's going to be now, however many months that is, 20 months or whatever, is a lifetime in politics. And Trump, unlike maybe any other figure in modern American history, does his absolute best work when his back is up against the wall and everybody counts him out. However, and I'm glad you said it, because you're a libertarian.
I have no skin in the game on this one.
Donald Trump alienates needlessly so many people that it is very hard, and I'm sure, Brad, you and I agree on this. So, people who vote based on their feels about what some guy does on Twitter is ridiculous. Can we agree on that?
I would agree.
That is completely ridiculous, because what some guy does on Twitter has no impact on your life. But as the last election showed us, people will vote for someone who will destroy their actual life because their feels are upset over some guy's thumbs on social media.
Correct.
So you can, and people get very mad in our YouTube chat, and I know many other people get very mad. You can deny that and put your fingers in your ears and go, nuh-uh, and you can watch Trump lose again, Or you can open your eyes and go, yeah, that's stupid that people vote that way, but their vote counts the same way yours does.
It does. So, and one of the problems we have, leadership is in short supply. And when I say leadership, a good leader is somebody who can listen to all sides, build a coalition, and say, this is our path forward. Now let's go. Certainly, Donald Trump does not have that ability. And I honestly thought in 2016, 2017, he might have a chance to bring people together, but then he started flaming at his own people. And it's like, all right, you can't even keep those behind you. Certainly, Joe Biden does not have that ability. He almost every statement he talks about, or he begins with, is Republicans this and Republicans that. It's like, you're not going to bring people in and have them coalesce around you if you're trying to divide all the time.
And again, I think you're an interesting person to ask to this, because I don't think you're voting for either DeSantis or Trump. But I think DeSantis does have that ability. Now, look, there's always going to be 30% of the country, or 35 or whatever, we're so polarized now, is going to hate you. That doesn't matter. But I think reasonable, rational people look at Ron DeSantis and say, do we agree with every culture war he leans into? No. But has he done a really good job running the state that he is in charge of? Yes. And does he look the part out of, like, we never talk about Ron DeSantis' Twitter.
No.
Have you not? Like, there's never a conversation. You never talk about some interview Ron DeSantis gave, or you would get this all the time with Trump, where he would give an interview with, Piers Morgan or Bob Woodward or, New York Times or whoever, and you would see the interview or read the transcript and you go, oh my gosh, tomorrow's going to be so exhausting because I'm going to have to figure out a way to make sense out of this or defend this. You never have to do that with Ron DeSantis.
No, and this is why Mitch Daniels would have been a great choice. And he's said that he's not going to do it. He is a fantastic administrator. He is a uniter. And he says, why should we deal with the controversial social issues when we have other economic issues to deal with first?
Here's what's also interesting about this poll. Now, this is a Signal poll. Signal, CYGNAL. Trump is leading in Iowa over DeSantis, and just very recently, DeSantis was ahead. Again, these polls don't count. They don't mean anything. They're just for entertainment. But you see a trend here, which is Trump clearly got a bump over his indictment. There's no doubt. That is what you look for polls for right now, is if you're seeing things over and over and over again, okay, that's a trend. And even in Iowa, where DeSantis was, I wouldn't say way ahead, but he was certainly easily ahead of Trump. Trump is now ahead, according to this poll, 37% to 30%. Now, if I were Ron DeSantis, and Brad, you have run for public statewide office before, you were a lieutenant governor nominee, so you know how this works. Sometimes you just got to, much like John Rahm at the Masters this past weekend, you got to just plod along, right?
Right, exactly. Sometimes you're just hoping to make par.
Yep. There is a moment of go, and for John Rahm, it was about on hole 7 or 8 at Augusta on Sunday in the final round, where he put the pedal to the metal, and the tournament was over within 3 or 4 holes. The rest of the time, he was down 3 shots, he was down 2 shots, he was down 4 shots. That's kind of Ron DeSantis right now, right? Like, his introduction isn't going to be Trump blew it on COVID. You're not going to do that yet. It's going to be introduction. Here I am. Here's my $100 million to tell our story, to tell the story of Florida. You're going to pick little people off here and there. Hey, this guy kind of looks like the party. He's got the beautiful wife and the great kids, and he's not as exhausting as Trump. And then at some point, and I don't know whether that's, September, October of this year, because primary voting starts in January, he's going to hit go, like John Rahm hit go at the Masters, and he's going to unleash all the stuff about Trump's record during COVID, about the masking, about the printing of the money, about promoting Fauci, about promoting lockdowns. And that's when we're going to see who's going to win the tournament.
Right, because you could peak too early, and right now is too early. And I think that nomination is going to go to somebody who probably doesn't even really get into it officially until Christmas of this year.
Right.
And now, have you ever been to Iowa or been to one of the caucus states?
I've been through Iowa. I went to Salt Lake City, Utah one time, and I went through Iowa. That's the only time I've been to Iowa.
I want to go sometime and just witness these caucuses. Yeah. So instead of going and casting a ballot like we do here in the primary, they actually show up and they're in a room and they're talking. And especially the Iowa Democratic Caucus, they go to corners of rooms based on who you're supporting, so you can see everybody in your community. There is no private vote.
Now, here's the really wild thing. And I know they've kind of made some changes to Iowa after the debacle for the Democrats last time, but these caucuses are so stupid because, Brad, and I'm not saying this to toot your own horn. You're a very likable person.
Well, thank you.
And in an Iowa, in a caucus, literally it may not be if somebody likes the candidate best, but who has the most likable representative in that caucus room. Wow, I really liked Brad, and while maybe DeSantis isn't my first choice, Brad's the DeSantis rep, and he's super cool, and I like him, versus that Trump guy who's an a-hole. Okay, I'll go over here after my guy's out. That's a terrible way to pick a presidential nominee.
Proxies mean so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. You want to get a bunch of models that are well-spoken that can go in there and say, if you vote for my guy, all your kids are going to look like me.
Hey, this may shock you, but the poll is out, and Trump is taking a little bit of a victory lap on social media over those poll results.
Well, I'm sure
Doesn't that
he would
surprise
be.
you? He's a very modest person.
No, he's not just humble and about this and say, well, the people want me back.
Yeah. Well, so here's what we do on the show, Brad, as you're well aware, that when we read Trump's thoughts on social media, we play Whitney Houston.
Are we going to cue the music?
We're going to get a dramatic reading for those of you new to the show. Brad will know this. Kevin will know this. You may not. The president once told me I was terrific. Were you aware of this?
I've heard that.
And it was a great dream. And that he wished every interview could be just like mine when I interviewed him. And so as a payback for that all these years, we've played Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You in the background. And then I read the tweet or the truth or whatever we call these now as though how I pictured it in Trump's head, the voice in Trump's head as he was typing out the truth or the truth or the tweet or whatever it is.
So let me guess. So the Whitney Houston music is button number 1 for Kevin,
Yes.
and then
Speed
Trump's
dial.
comments about you are button number 2, so
absolutely.
that they're at the ready at all times.
Absolutely. Kev, are you ready? Let's go. Ron DeSantis is a young man who is not doing well against me in the polls. To put it mildly, I believe that if he decides to run for president, which will only hurt and somewhat divide the Republican Party, he will lose the cherished and massive MAGA vote and never be able to successfully run for office again if he remains governor, which is what Florida voters assumed. It would be a whole different story. Just saying. But who knows? He's so ridiculous.
but what do I know about them?
I love that he thought everyone who voted for Ron DeSantis for re-election had no idea he might run for president.
No, they were shocked to hear that was in the cards.
All right, Brad Kloppenstein's in for Casey. Let's take a break. When we come back, the Bud Light sales. Brad, you are the residential beer expert, alcohol expert
I'll have
on
to change out
WIBC.
koozies before we come back.
Bud Light sales, they're plunging, and one Anheuser-Busch merchandiser tells us just how bad things are getting. We'll play that when we come back. Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
We've all been through a tornado drill.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
So let's do another as we enter severe weather season.
Tornado warning in effect. Sirens were sounded.
The sirens will sound, and so will your severe weather station.
Closures with debris in your way.
Baseball-sized hail already.
We'll let you know when to
duck and cover fast wherever you are.
With watches, warnings, and everything you need to know.
15,000 people without power.
93 WIBC.
It's time for the NBA playoffs, and you can get in on the action right now from the first tip with FanDuel. Right now, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right. Just place a 3+ leg same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus on any NBA playoff game, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. So you could bet the Bucks money line plus Giannis to go over in points and rebounds. If one of those things doesn't happen, you'll get bonus bets back. Visit FanDuel.com/WIBC to get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the NBA playoffs. That's FanDuel.com/WIBC. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Indiana. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Shop Drexel Interiors for carpet and get free padding. Yes, buy carpet, get free padding. Only at Drexel Interiors. Visit Drexel in Carmel or on North Shaylin. Find Drexel at drexel-in.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
Oh, he's mean.
And Casey Daniels.
She's kind, she's humble.
On 93 WIBC.
I was at this party in the Well Hills Hills.
Yeah!
Just the other night. Her name was Shelley.
It's the Kendall Casey Show.
She just smiled and said,
Rob.
all right.
Brett Kloppenstein in for Casey today. Kev's here. Little deep cut Rick Springfield there to start the segment.
Rock it out to the 80s.
Kev loves Rick Springfield. That's one of his all-time favorite artists, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I've seen him twice in concert.
So,
you've seen them both, huh?
Somebody who's doing well is Rick Springfield. Somebody who's doing poorly is Bud Light, Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch. Man, they are in big trouble, Brad. And you are, what were you? You were some booze guru for years, weren't you?
I worked for Monarch Beverage, now Monarch Distributing, that's out there on Pendleton Pike. I worked there in the 90s, so I sold beer, and now I have my own beer brand.
Yeah, tell everybody about that, by the way.
Alpsbrau beer.
And you're doing very well with the Alpsbrau beer.
Keep selling out, so I'd say that's pretty good.
That's excellent. So, yeah, I mean, much of your life has been dedicated to booze.
Yeah.
You sold booze as a young man. You've been a bartender. You've been a bar owner. Weren't you an executive of some sort?
I'm still president of the Indiana Licensed Beverage Association.
I mean, so you are the perfect guy to have this conversation with. That marketing plan by Bud Light to put that man, Dylan Mulvaney, who is pretending to be a woman. And to me, Brad, I don't know about you. The Dylan Mulvaney thing to me is very disturbing because he seems to me like he always has a half grin on his face and he is laughing all the way to the bank and he can't believe how stupid these businesses and Hollywood people are that they're buying his act. He is like an unfunny Andy Kaufman to me.
I had never heard this dude's name until all this came down. So forgive me, I'm somewhat unfamiliar with the man, although suddenly he's ever present the last week.
There's nothing to be familiar with. He's a man who dresses up as a woman, and a bunch of corporations and Hollywood people have decided he is the celeb du jour, that the hill that they're willing to die on. And it is unbelievable to me, especially the fact that Bud Light, now, Brad, I would assume, and you are the booze expert, that the target demo of Bud Light is men, right?
Yes. Men 21 to 35 is the target demo that they're going for.
And why you would think that men 21 to 35 would want a dude who pretends to be a chick as their spokesperson, and someone that men 21 to 35 would want to associate with or be a part of or engage. That is absolutely just total malfeasance by Anheuser-Busch.
Now, I will say it is not unusual for large beer companies and even other corporations to have specific packaging for specific marketing and events. So like they'll come out with the rainbow can when it's Pride Month, or they will have, like in some markets.
But you're not running ads.
No,
like, it is against your target demo.
I'm very surprised that Anheuser-Busch put so much behind this one individual, just given that typically you float this out, you at least ask a few people, hey, what do you think about this? And it's one thing to want to open up some other markets, but you never do it at the expense of your core market.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do a man becoming a woman or pretending to be a woman or however you want to word it, at least pick someone who might have some identifiability like Caitlyn Jenner, who was a tremendous male athlete and who would have some humor in it and people recognize and could make it funny. It's just unbelievable. Is Anheuser-Busch, that has to be a publicly traded company, isn't it?
Yeah, they're part of InBev, which is a worldwide company. They're based out of Belgium now, I think.
So if you are a stockholder, which I don't know, maybe you are.
I'm not.
Well, I'm very surprised by that. You've got to be livid that these people allowed their politics and their wokeness to, because it's got to be billions of dollars now in lost sales or close to it.
I don't know about billions, but I would say millions.
It was in the hundreds of millions earlier this week.
Yeah, so, I mean, even when we're talking off air, even if this is a short-term blip where traditional Bud Light drinkers will drink something else for the next few weeks, even if they come back to Bud Light, that'll end up being a 10% decline or more. Actually, they were declining at 10% a year before this. So this is going to really probably ramp that up. Yeah, I mean, my understanding is they basically fired that whole marketing team.
Other than the woman who made the decision.
Yeah, which is, that's coming.
So, we're running a little long here. I know we got to get to the news, but there's a merchandiser who has gone viral. Now, Brad, would you like to tell us what a merchandiser is in the beer industry?
So a merchandiser is the person that stocks shelves, puts up decorations in bars, makes it eye-catching so that you'll hopefully buy that product.
Yeah, I dated a person years ago who did this, and it's a really important job.
It is. It's a very hard job.
It is not easy to do, and it actually does have a profound impact on how much of this stuff gets sold, the visual appeal of it. So this guy has gone viral because he's a Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch merchandiser, and he is talking about how stupid this decision was and how much money it's costing this company and how much money it's costing him.
I work for an affiliate company. I am a merchandiser, and the sole product of the company I work for is Anheuser-Busch products. So with all this canceling going on, I've never seen such little sales in this past few days on these products. And it's sad because people don't buy this beer, I don't make money, and I can't feed my family. So it's kind of heartbreaking, I guess, that Anheuser-Busch did what they did. They don't know their clientele. So it's kind of heartbreaking. Thanks, Anheuser-Busch. I may not be able to feed my family coming up here soon.
That sucks.
It does. Now, and I will say what he's saying is right. So in the beer industry, Anheuser-Busch typically has had smaller family-owned distributorships. So whereas Miller and Coors are distributed by basically 4 distributors around the state of Indiana, there's like 20 Anheuser-Busch distributors. And the Anheuser-Busch has been very reluctant to allow their distributors to bring in craft beers and other brands. So if you're an Anheuser-Busch distributor, oftentimes all you have is Anheuser-Busch brands. So if one of their brands, in this case, the number one brand that they have, takes a significant hit, that hurts the whole company.
All right, voicemails. When we come back, Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zero Res, and it's that time of year when our homes just need a good cleaning to get the winter crud out of the carpets, floors, and upholstery. You've changed your furnace filters, but have you cleaned the carpets? The carpets are literally the largest air filter in your home, and if you want to eliminate dust, allergens, and irritants that'll drive your allergies crazy, how about getting them Zero Res cleaned? Right now, Zero Res is offering 20% off carpet and upholstery cleaning, and that'll give your home a real fresh beginning as you go full steam into allergy season. Zero Res uses their unique cleaning technology with the electrolyzed ZR water to perfectly clean your floors and more. It cleans your carpets and floors without soapy residue. Soapy residue means things get dirtier quicker, and the ZR water prevents that from happening because it attracts the dirt and allergens and irritants by itself. If you call Zero Res today and mention WIBC, you get a full 20% discount on cleaning your carpets and upholstery. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, call 388-5141 or visit ZeroResIndy.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The shooter in Kentucky was from Indiana. Clear skies downtown. It's 62 degrees. The high will reach the mid-70s later today. I'm Parker Carlson for Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 10:30. 5 people were killed. More were injured as the government live-streamed his attack.
The suspect has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, white male, 23 years of age, who was employed at Old National Bank.
Louisville Police Chief Gwen Vinarello, she says Sturgeon was from Floyd's Knobs in Indiana. He killed 5 people in the bank he worked at and was killed in the shootout with police. Jimin Shah, the former Purdue student who is charged with stabbing his roommate to death, is not going to trial yet. Mental evaluations say that Shah might have schizophrenia, so he'll be held at a mental institution for the next 90 days, and the trial will take a pause until then to hope for Shah's mental state to improve to stand trial. I'm Parker Carlson on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Shop Drexel Interiors for carpet and get free padding. Yes, buy carpet, get free padding. Only at Drexel Interiors. Visit Drexel in Carmel or on North Shaylin. Find Drexel at drexel-in.com.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. This is Rob. I'm out and about in the community for this radio station, and I feel so much better because We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my hairline and my crown area. And this year, they can restore yours too. Call them right now at 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life. I'm very happy I called We Grow Hair Indy. Call right now for your free evaluation. 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. WeGrowHairIndy.com. The gold standard in hair restoration.
Winning games and championships is fun, but the true purpose of high school sports is for student athletes to grow as people, not just athletes. I'm Paul Knighty, Commissioner of the IHSAA.
And I'm Dr. Katie Jenner, Indiana Secretary of Education. Hoosier teachers and coaches care just as much about how student athletes are performing in the classroom as they do about how they're performing on the playing field.
They understand high school sports are a tool to educate and shape the whole student athlete, helping teens become the best versions of themselves.
Our teachers and coaches don't just teach academic and athletic skills, they also encourage communication and collaboration, instill confidence, promote a strong work ethic, and so much more. To all our Hoosier educators and coaches, we are grateful for everything you do.
Fans, buy a ticket to your high school's athletic events and thank our educators for making education-based athletics possible.
This is gratitude. This is appreciation. This is your IHSAA.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just.
Oh, yeah, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Brad Kloppenstein's in for Casey today. Would you like to give your little hashtag out there?
Hashtag why I love Lawrence.
You are the what are you, the director? Is that
I
what you
am
are?
president of the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce.
And look at you. Look at how the heights that has taken you to. Now you're here with me.
I know. I'm sitting in with you. So, yeah, come on out to Lawrence and spend your money.
And while you're doing that, make sure you keep listening to this radio show. And one of the things we do is we do give out the voicemail number, and you can call and you can leave your messages, and you can reach the voicemail number at 317-684-8444. That's 317-684-8444. Just a reminder, I am the one who decides the voicemails we use. So if you desire to get on the air, you are appealing to an audience of one.
Are these all complimentary voicemails, Rob? Telling you how handsome you are and how Casey, how charming she is on air?
Brad, you know the rule. Hate mail goes right to the front of the line around here. You know how that. You know how. We feed off negative energy around here. Okay, so a lot of calls, and we talked about this last night at the Hamilton County Lincoln Day dinner for the Republicans. That is what people want to talk about is property taxes, and that was the topic, and it is amazing to me how everybody wants to talk about this issue, how almost everybody's being hurt by this issue, and yet the Republicans are doing next to nothing. I mean, they could be heroes, Brad. That's what amazes me. Even if you don't actually care about the people, which they don't, wouldn't you want to be a hero?
You would think. So if you don't do anything to stop something, that means you condone the outcome.
Absolutely. And the idea, and we've talked about this many, many times, that these guys who write the laws by which taxes are administered, collected, whatever, that their excuse now is, well, your assessor sets your assessed value. Well, your town and city councils set your tax rates. If you're upset about your taxes, call them, as though you people didn't create the environment by which the assessor exists, as though you guys couldn't come out tomorrow and go, we're going to pass a law that freezes assessments, or there's a million things they could do. And you have these people, just they're like John Belushi and Blues Brothers under the bridge with Carrie Fisher saying the 10 million reasons it isn't their fault when they could be the heroes. It's like Holcomb during COVID. The reason Ron DeSantis is 1A or 1B in the Republican nomination for president is he was a hero during COVID. He didn't do anything great. He just said, you will live your life and you will be allowed to live your life, and we will not interfere in you doing the things that you are guaranteed to be able to do under the Constitution. It could have been Holcomb. And you know how much Holcomb wants to be in politics. It just amazes me how Republicans in this state are just unwilling to do the obvious thing that the people want them to do. So in line with that, we got a lot of calls about property taxes, and one guy with some advice on what to do to maybe give yourself a puncher's chance if your assessment is through the roof.
I had an issue with my property tax. I love where you're going with this. And the number one thing that property owners can do is file an appeal and make an appointment with a follow-up of the appeal with the assessor with evidence of why their property tax shouldn't be so high. Go on beacon.com, find 3 properties similar to yours with lower property tax. Take pictures of why you think your property tax shouldn't be so high. And don't tell them you just remodeled your house when you go to the appeal.
All right, so he's right. You can't appeal. Here's the problem with the appeal, Brad. They can look at your property and go, you know, you're right. We under-assessed your property.
Yes, that's the rub on it. When you appeal it, they can say, oh, look at all these things we missed.
Yeah, and you better believe that if it comes to the government losing money, there's a good chance they're going to make sure that they didn't make any mistakes to lose the money. And this is again, the system cannot be corrected as currently constructed because you are taxing people on things they don't monetize and on things that have nothing to do with them. There's nowhere else, Brad, where we tax you based on what the guy down the street from you did. If you earn $30,000 and the guy down the street from you earns $150,000, you don't pay more in taxes because he makes more than you. If the guy down the street from you sells a stock and makes a bunch of money and you don't do that, you don't get taxed. But when it comes to our property taxes, you're punished based on the guy down the street from you. And that is so beyond ridiculous. And Republicans just sit there at the State House and look at you And it's like you have turds hanging out of your mouth when you go, that really seems unfair.
Yeah, they do it because it is a stable form of taxation. You can't move dirt.
Yeah, so you can do that with the appeal, but good luck, and you might get some unintended consequences. All right, another person called about property taxes and about assessed values, and I mean, this thing is just an absolute mess the Republicans have created.
My property from $80,000, and I paid for it less than 10 years ago, and it went up to $265. So now I'm paying the taxes on that. When or if I ever do sell, why should I have to pay capital gains tax? Because I'm already paying capital gains on what they think the assessed value is. That's ludicrous. Well, you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
You know, I think the thing that sucks the most for me, Brad, is because we talk to so many people. People are hurting, man.
Yeah.
Big time.
That caller, I'm sure that he has figured this out in his head. You never truly own your property.
Yeah.
You are always renting it from the government, and they will jack your rent up.
Yeah, and if you buy, and there's nothing wrong with this, but if you buy a home, generally, you are buying a home because it fits into an income level that you can afford. And part of that is, and you know this, Brad, as you have bought many palatial estates over the years, when you get a mortgage, when you get a loan and you have a mortgage, they walk you through before you sign the documents. Here's what your estimated payment's going to be, and escrow is a part of that. And you know the property tax, the estimated property tax that is associated with, and insurance that is associated with that. That's part of your mortgage fee. This dude probably bought a house for $80,000 based on his ability to pay on an $80,000 house. And now, through no fault of his own, he's paying enhanced escrow and insurance because you got to be able to replace the thing. And he's paying markedly more than he was paying when he bought an $80,000 home.
You hit the double whammy on the head there. So it's not just your property tax that's going up. You're right. Your insurance has gone up even more than that, just because cost of materials. Insurance companies have had the big losses in Florida and in the South. And yeah, so your property taxes have doubled and your insurance has doubled. So suddenly your escrow payment has doubled. And yes, this is forcing a lot of people to downsize or make some very hard decisions.
And let's pretend for a moment that let's play a little game here, shall we, Brad? Let's pretend, let's just wipe off what should be done, which is you should not be taxed every year on something you don't monetize. So, I think Rainwater has an interesting idea that you pay it at the point of sale. When you sell the home, then you pay the whatever. I mean, there's a variety of different options. But let's just pretend that we're still going to exist in a world where you are unfairly taxed for something you're not monetizing. Our state is sitting on about a $6 billion surplus right now. That's our money that we were overtaxed for, that even despite Republicans who are about to pass about a $43.5 billion record-busting budget, amazing for the party of low taxes and limited government, they can't spend all the money. They've tried, trust me. And you're sitting on $6 billion in reserves, which you could easily come out and say, okay, we're going to do A, B, and C to freeze assessments or whatever, and we, the state, will make up the difference so that you are not having to make terribly hard choices. We've already taken your money. Here's how we're going to give it back to you. And they won't hear of it down there. The Republicans who run this state will absolutely not hear of coming off the $6.5 billion in overtaxation they've already done to you. It's gross, Brad.
Well, it used to be that your house tax valuation was based on your purchase price.
Yeah.
And it didn't move until you sold the house.
Yeah.
And the legislature decided that was a disincentive for people to buy new homes and build new homes, and other people who had just bought a house in the same neighborhood, they're like, well, I'm paying twice as much as my neighbor. We can't have this anymore. So there is no good way unless they're just not taxing property.
Yeah, you got to get out. You got to get out of the game of punishing people for things they aren't monetizing. All right, Kendall and Casey. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. Hammer joins us coming up next.
Big Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. More fallout from the Louisville shooting. Tudor Dixon will join us, 93 WIBC.
Imagine if you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Learn how you could get a 35% bonus from Bill Demery, your retirement guy. We're believers in Bill, and now we're clients too. Not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years and has $2.5 trillion in assets.
To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. Reach out to Bill Demery, your retirement guy, at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
I don't like to walk downtown anymore, only when I have to. Even during the day, there's so many out on the street, aggressive. I mean, I feel terrible for them, but at the same time, I don't feel safe. Every night, there's another story on the news. Another shooting, something violent. And it's not even in one area, it's all over the city. Just the other day, a woman was robbed at gunpoint at church. At church. I heard that so far this year, our murder rate is higher than Chicago. Chicago! I'm proud of Indianapolis. That's just not what I think of, what I think Indianapolis should be. The only thing I can think to do differently is I have to vote differently, starting now, until it gets better. So I'm going to vote for Shreve in May. Maybe Hogsett gets the message. Or maybe we get a new mayor in November.
Paid for by Shreve for mayor.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/WIBC right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. I'm looking ahead to the NBA Finals. I'm thinking the Milwaukee Bucks are going to beat the Phoenix Suns. And here's what I love about betting on FanDuel. They have those great promotions every day. It's safe and secure, and you get paid instantly when you win your money in your account just like that. And there's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. That's FanDuel.com/WIBC to sign up and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Indiana. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey guys, Easter was Sunday, and maybe this weekend you found yourself thinking it's time to find a new church home or a first church home. If that's you, please consider checking out my friends at Life Church. You know Life Church, that's where friend of the show, Pastor Micah Beckwith, preaches. Heard him on the program earlier today. And Life Church would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Life Church has campuses all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, and online services. Learn more at lifechurchin.com.
If you're looking to maintain or add a new fireplace or stove in your home, there's only one place to call. That's Chimney Solutions. Chimney Solutions provides the best fireplaces from the most trusted and reliable brand names in the industry. Add ambiance and warmth to your home now. The government is even providing a 30% tax credit from purchase and installation up to $2,000. Call Chimney Solutions today at 317-757-6979. Online at chimneyindy.com. That's Chimney Solutions.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577.
Service today. Want to explore using Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business? Learn more at absolutecomfort.org. That's absolutecomfort.org.
It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Brad Kloppenstein's in for Casey. Hammer, hello.
If you ever want to hear a fun version of this song, the old classic Aha, Take On Me, there was like a ska kind of rock band of the late 90s called Real Big Fish. And Kevin, when we close out this break, if you could find the Real Big Fish version of Take On Me, it's kind of fun. They used it in the movie Basketball, made by the South Park guys.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you and I have been on this for a couple days now, and I guess we'll get to talk about it now. There was some sort of thread that you found on social media about who is the best cast characters of all time.
Right, television characters. We're not talking about a full show. We're talking about an individual character, and the basis is you can't imagine somebody else playing that role or doing it any better.
Yeah, and you and I went back and forth via text message on this, and there's so many good ones. There's no way you could do a Mount Rushmore because there's too many.
There's too many.
There's too many. Now, I said my A-plus pole position person is Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker.
That's real strong because... And again, the rules are it can't be somebody playing themselves either.
Right.
So this eliminates Jerry Seinfeld, eliminates Roseanne, people like that. Playing a character, because really, Carol O'Connor is like a mild-mannered, theatrical like actor, but they put him in the role of this blue-collar, racist kind of old man. But he did it in a way to where at the end of the episode, you're like, oh, okay. He's forcing hard conversations. That's a great choice. I came to the table with Don Knotts as Barney Fife.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like I know, and these are older ones, and I'm sure there's probably some new characters out there as well, but I just can't envision anybody else doing Barney Fife better than Don Knotts.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I was thinking Kramer from Seinfeld. It would be hard.
Yeah.
To replace him, maybe Reverend Jim from Taxi, which is going way back.
See, I'm going to go Taxi. I'm going to go Danny DeVito as the boss, right?
Yep.
Hey, Nardo! Taxi was a great show.
I think about, because we were talking about Cheers, and obviously George Wendt as Norm is kind of the one that everybody remembers, but I maintain the Kelsey Grammer character was so strong. He went on to be one of the greatest characters of all time on his own show.
Effectively, that show lived on for almost 40 years.
Yeah, I mean,
he took that character and made a career out of the character.
So where is that in there? While he wasn't this kind of wild, wacky, eccentric character, that character was so strong, and obviously he was the character that they, made Frasier, which was every bit as good as Cheers.
And I'm going to come at you with Cheers with John Ratzenberger as Cliff Clavin.
Yeah.
The wisecracking, smart mailman. I just can't, in my mind, think, who are you going to put in that role and have him on Jeopardy? Who are people who have never been in my kitchen?
But somebody had said, well, Tony Soprano. And to me, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who could have played a angry, gruff-talking mafioso guy, and James Gandolfini kind of lucked into that. But I know there's people who think, oh my gosh, it was the greatest acting in the history of ever.
Where are we at with John Ritter as Jack Tripper in Three's Company?
That's a good one.
Because, man, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
They were doing jokes in late 70s that today you couldn't do.
No.
Like
the
double entendre jokes and the things like that. Like the physical comedy and the lines and the facial expressions. I always maintain John Ritter was Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey.
That's such a great point. I never really thought about that.
So get the YouTube chat rolling. Get the Kendall and Casey social media rolling. The best cast character of all time. Not as a show, just individually, the best cast character, because there are so many of them.
Yeah, and we can't forget Max Wright as Willie on Alf. What a tremendous job, Max Wright.
That's one of those shows, and we've talked about this before. I watched Alf as a kid, and I thought, oh, what a great show. And then you don't see it for a long time. Then I think WGN or somebody brought it back in syndication, and I sat down and watched it as an adult. That thing sucks.
What?
Alf sucks.
What?
Horrible.
You take that back.
Horrible.
What a terrible take. You were doing so well in this segment.
There are some horrible shows that we watched in the early to mid 80s. Alf was one of them. And the whole concept of Small Wonder. Remember this? Where this genius guy that works for the government, he's got all the smarts in the world and he's tasked with building a robot, but he goes out to his garage and he builds a preteen girl and nobody knows what he's up to. I find that problematic. I can't be the only one that thinks, what in the hell is the dad from Small Wonder up to?
I can't believe you said that about Alf. That is still one of my all-time favorite TV shows.
So bad.
But Willie!
Man, like there were a lot of bad shows. Real Big Fish. Yes, there it is.
What's coming up, and then we'll let him take this to break.
We have Tudor Dixon on today, talking a little Title IX and more fallout from the Louisville situation. I love this version.
I'll be trying for you Take on me. Take me.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Tamer and Nigel for Window Nation. Everyone loves a smart investment, and there is no better place to put your money right now than in your home. Window Nation has the perfect offer for anyone with a home at least 20 years old. Protect and increase the value of your home and energy efficiency by installing new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is making it insanely easy to do so with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free with every 2 you purchase.
Go with the window company that has installed nearly 2 million windows, including mine, by installers with over a decade of experience using only top-of-the-line installation materials, which is why 96% of all installations require no follow-up service. Call Window Nation today and lock in these limited-time savings when you need them the most. 866-90-NATION and pay 0 interest for 5 years. The life of your loan, and get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, it's Abdul, and I'm running for mayor of Indianapolis. You see, all my adult life, I believed in leaving things better than when I found them. As an attorney, I worked to leave my clients in a better position. As a teacher, I worked to leave my students better educated. And as a political commentator, I worked to leave my audience more informed. Now I'm running for mayor because I want the city to be in better shape. So go to AbdulForIndy.com and read about our plans to take a tough but smart approach to dealing with crime, our creative approach to road funding, and restoring public trust in government. You know, we all deserve a great city to live in, and together we can make that happen. It's not just talk, it's a plan. Paid for by Abdul for Indy.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Get 20% discount from Zero Res when you clean the carpets and upholstery for a real spring cleaning. 388-5141 or online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Drexel Interior's warehouse sale has tens of thousands in inventory, including flooring at 50 cents a square foot, cabinets, vanities, and more. Thursday through Saturday only, 3217 Shadeland Avenue.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a 90-day wait for the Purdue murder trial and how the Kentucky shooter is connected to Indiana. I'm Parker Carlson. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Ireland. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and then President Biden will go to Ireland. Why this trip?
Make sure the Irish Accords and the Windsor Agreement stay in place. Keep the peace.
This the day after President Biden said he's planning on running for re-election. Democrats have chosen today Chicago as the site of their 2024 convention. Now, the president spoke before taking off on Air Force One and was asked about the U.S. designating an American journalist jailed in Russia as an accused spy wrongfully detained.
We're making it real clear that it's totally illegal what's happening, and we declared it so, changes the dynamic.
The designation basically means the United States views Evan Gershkovich as a political hostage, that the Russian government fabricated these charges. It also elevates this case to the Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs. It's an office designed to negotiate situations just like this.
Fox's Rich Edson. This is the U.S. keeps trying to plug a leak of classified intelligence and the source of it. First found on a gaming website and then spread online.
The effect of the leak will have broad-ranging impact on allies whose deepest secrets are revealed. For instance, one of the more damaging documents concerns Egypt, which has received $50 billion in U.S. military aid since 1978. Reporting suggests President Sisi of Egypt planned to secretly ship 40,000 rockets to Russia for use in Ukraine.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. A police officer remains critical but stable in Louisville after being shot in the head trying to stop yesterday's mass shooting at a bank. J.D. Worley works nearby. His company's cameras recorded video showing.
I see this police officer just race right up the steps, about 8 steps onto the main landing, and he's approaching the lobby, and then all of a sudden gunfire just erupts. Both directions, rifle fire, glass exploding left and right.
Police killed the gunman who worked at the bank but was reportedly going to lose that job. He murdered 5 people and wounded 8 until police killed him. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The Purdue murder trial goes on hold. It's 64 and sunny downtown. I'm Parker Carlson for Scott Yard's Bank. Here's what's trending at 11:02. The former Purdue student accused of stabbing his roommate to death last year will not be going to trial yet for his crimes. Kurt Darling reports.
Jeeman Shah was arrested last October after investigators found Varun Chetta stabbed to death in the dorm room the two shared. Since then, Shah has undergone a few mental evaluations, and a judge has ruled that he is not competent to endure a murder trial. Medical experts say he may have schizophrenia and will be held in a mental institution for the next 90 days. During that time, the hope is for Shah to improve to the point that he can stand trial. Kirk Darling, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
5 people were shot to death inside of a Louisville bank on Monday by a man from Indiana.
The suspect shot at officers. We then returned fire and stopped that threat. The suspect is deceased.
Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel. The suspect, Connor Sturgeon, was from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. A Wednesday vote by the Whitestown Council could mean that an old junkyard site that was once contaminated will be the new site of a new aquatic center set to open in 2025.
When everyone talks about this site, it'll never be used for 100 years. It was an old salvage yard, oil in the ground. But technology and science are at a point where we can. It's just a matter of doing it.
Nathan Messer on Wish TV. He's in charge of economic development in Whitestown. He says more people are moving in and they need to do more, and that testing has proven that the site is safe. Aaliyah Boston was the #1 overall pick by the Indiana Fever in the WNBA draft.
It's just really special. I'm thankful first to God just for putting me in this position, but also thankful to everybody in Indiana just because they saw something in me, and I'm just ready to get there and get to work.
The Fever also picked IU guard Grace Berger with their second pick in the final round. I'm Parker Carlson on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
What would you do with a little extra cash? Quick getaway, organic fruits and veggies, mini shopping spree? It's all possible with Stockyards Bank Extreme Checking. Earn 4% annual percentage yield on balances from $1 to $10,000 by doing things you already do every day. Just swipe your debit card at least 10 times a month on purchases of at least $5, set up a direct deposit, and enroll in e-statements. Splurging is easier with Stockyards Bank, so what would you do with a little extra? Visit syb.com/extreme to learn more today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
The Republicans have got to pick someone to take on Joe Hogsett, and that race is heating up here in the city of Indianapolis. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Brad Kloppenstein of the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce.
Rob, Kevin, good morning.
Okay, Kevin's here as well. You didn't want to do your hashtag?
Oh, hashtag why I love Lawrence.
There you go. Perfect. Very good. All right. So let's talk about the mayor's race, because on the Democrat side, and I said take on Joe Hogsett, and clearly Robin Shackelford is also running, and she could win. But I say, Brad, at this point, I haven't heard much about her. And if we've reached a point where you're running against a longtime incumbent and I haven't heard much about you, and he's got $3 gajillion and I don't see him spending any of it, he's doing polling, I don't think you're going to be winning.
I would tend to agree with that.
Okay, I didn't want to be presumptuous by saying take on Joe Hogsett.
Yes, you've assumed correctly.
Okay, perfect. So, however, on the Republican side, it's a very interesting race shaping up between Jefferson Shreve, who, again, we have reached out to. They've said they would get back to us. They've not gotten back to us as of yet. I'd love to have him on the show. He has what we like to call infinite money, Brad. And then Abdul.
That is FU money.
Yes, he for those of you who don't know, he sold his business. It was some sort of storage business.
Yes.
For well over $500 million.
Yeah, 650, I think, is the number I heard.
Last year. So I think on the air we did the estimate, and if he has any sort of decent accountant, he took home $400 million out of that. Yeah. So he has infinite money, and we need more rich friends, so we've invited him on the show. Now, full disclosure, you are some part in some capacity of Abdul's campaign.
It is no secret that Abdul and I have been really good friends for 19 plus years now.
You're the one person that was silly enough to embark on that venture.
No, he spoke at my wedding.
Yes.
Abdul is a very good man, and yes, he's been a close friend for quite some time. And so I am an advisor on his campaign.
All right, but you are a very fair person, so I think we can have this adult conversation. You give interesting insight because you're there. You kind of know what's going on. I am going to be super intrigued by this, Brad, because you see a Jefferson Shreve ad. It seems like every break there's one on this radio station. I see them all over the television. So he clearly is spending, and he had already spent $600,000. Maybe it's more than that now in the primary. He's everywhere.
I cannot open my refrigerator without seeing a Jefferson Shreve ad.
Now, explain to us how the Indy mayor's race is different, because you live in Lawrence, but yet you can vote for the Indianapolis mayor.
Correct. So as an excluded city, we vote for 2 mayors, 2 councils. So yeah, because we're within Marion County, we're voting on all the Indianapolis stuff. There's a city county councilor that represents Lawrence and a couple others that represent parts of Lawrence. So we're voting on all this.
Speedway's the same way.
Correct.
Beach Grove's the same way.
Yep.
So it's an odd way, kind of a different animal in terms of an election. But on the Republican side, it's a very big area to hit. And so you would think infinite money would really help you, yet it's such a small amount of people who probably actually vote in a mayoral primary.
So, correct. So in a primary, you are targeting voters of a specific party who are planning on showing up and voting in that primary. So in this primary election, honestly, 5,000 votes probably will be enough to win the Republican primary. Maybe a little bit more than that. We'll say 10,000.
Yeah.
Still, of the 800, for round numbers, the 900,000 people in Marion County, it will probably be 10,000 votes will select who the Republican nominee is.
That's an incredibly low amount of people, isn't it?
So, and I looked it up, and obviously Jim Merritt he did not do real well when he ran for mayor 3 years ago.
We love you, Jim, but that's a very kind assessment from Brad.
Jim's a friend of mine also. Jim got 45,000 votes in the general election. So even in the general election, I think Hogsett got pushing 100,000 votes, but it's not huge number of votes that you need.
Well, and here is especially local politics, as Brad is fully aware. I've never lost an election, whether I'm the face running or the candidate. Well, and then, of course, I've won multiple referendums, elections as well. And the reason is not because I'm a rocket scientist, but I understand math, and that's what politics is. Whether it's the president of the United States or the mayor of Indianapolis or a municipal election or a referendum or whatever, it's math. And if you understand math and trends and history, and you can go back and look at how people have voted, it's very rare that there are markedly more or less people that vote in an election cycle. Now, the most recent presidential election, because of all the mail-in stuff, was an anomaly. But generally, you can figure out how many votes you're going to need, whether it's a primary or a general election, and you can start doing the math on how you're doing and what you need to get to. Like, I knew when I ran 2 weeks ahead, I'd already won because I knew how many people were going to vote for me. I knew how many votes I needed, and it was just fun the final 2 weeks agitating the incumbent that I was running against who was about to be unemployed. So it really is, if you have good people who can calculate and then hit the targeted people. So that's why I think the question to you is, Abdul clearly does not have as much money as Jefferson Shreve does.
No. So Jefferson Shreve, when he's buying these commercials, whether they be on these airwaves or on television, he's buying a media market of 2.5 million people.
Right.
But he really only needs to target 10,000 of those people.
Now, we're very happy he's advertising, and there are many people in Indianapolis.
Don't take your money away from this station. Take it away from all the TV.
This will be Brad's last time filling in on this radio show or this radio station. No. Because obviously, clearly, there are tens of thousands of people in Marion County who listen to this radio station every day, and those are your potential voters, and that's why he's doing it. He's not stupid. He's hired somebody to do it for him. That's why he's advertising on TV. He knows this. But ultimately, why this is interesting, especially if you're a political nerd of some sort, like we are, is it comes down to, can Abdul out-target? Like, he's got to take a sniper rifle and shoot at the specific voters. Can he out-sniper rifle Jefferson Shreve, who's basically not even taking a shotgun? He's taking like a bazooka of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
And just shooting it at everyone.
Oh, yeah. This is the complete nuclear option. After the primary, he'll come back and see if there's anything left. So now going into this, and I'm taking off my Brad Abdul advisor hat, I would have said Abdul has the name ID. Nobody's ever heard of Jefferson Shreve in a short window like this. Right. Abdul throws some more ads up on WIBC, which is the target market for that. He just reinforces his name ID. People have seen him. Abdul will be just fine. It'll be very interesting to see because I've never seen somebody establish name ID from nothing like we have with Jefferson Shreve. So I don't know if $1 million an ad buy can overcome 20 years worth of being on the air and establishing yourself or not.
It's gonna be fascinating, and I think bottom line it's gonna come down to, look, if I were a voter, here's how I would vote. Who do I think is going to be the best person to take on Joe Hogsett? And look, full disclosure, we've already talked about this. I donated money to Abdul. Abdul and I have been great friends for years, so put that out there. But if I'm if I'm a person who I'm seeing the ads on TV and I'm trying to make up my mind as an undecided person, I'm going to pick the person I think is best to take on Hogsett in the fall. And I got to say, while I love Abdul and his name ID, if you're an undecided person, hey, this guy's got $7 million he's willing to spend. I don't know. That's a pretty compelling argument.
Now, see, I'm on the other side of that. I know Jefferson Shreve as well. He's a very nice man. However, I think Jefferson Shreve is a kind of typical Indiana conservative, which is different than a Marion County conservative.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If you're looking for somebody that can reach out and build some coalitions, obviously Abdul's African American. I think that Abdul and just his persona, who he is, who he has been around this town for almost 20 years, that is going to open doors, and he has a better ability to build those coalitions that it's going to take to try to get some of those traditional Democrat voters to switch sides.
All right, let's take a break. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. When we come back, we got some great audio related to Trump. We got Kash Patel, friend of the show, was part of Trump's administration, talking about how Republicans are really failing to treat Democrats the way Democrats are treating Republicans. We've got Ron Paul Hey,
I've had dinner with Ron Paul.
We've got Ron Paul talking about why the deep state is terrified of Trump. We got Mike Huckabee weighing in on Trump. So much Trump stuff. When we come back, it's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Noble Romans. I think one of the original ones is still open on 10th Street on the west side by Ben Davis.
Yeah.
That's one of the OGs of pizza places. Walking up on those little steps and you can watch them make the pizza through the giant window.
Because I saw an ad for that 10th Street Noble Romans, and I looked at the monster, and I thought, you know what? That's a pretty damn scary monster.
Right, that blue thing with the green nose.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Imagine if you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Learn how you could get a 35% bonus from Bill Demery, your retirement guy. We're believers in Bill, and now we're clients too. Not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years and has $2.5 trillion in assets.
To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. Reach out to Bill Demery, your retirement guy, at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
This Saturday, make your way to Brownsburg and be part of the fundraiser for Brownsburg Blessing Boxes at Premier Arms, 3754 South Green Street. From 3 to 7 p.m., we're going to raise money to help feed people in need. Just make a $100 donation, and you're going to be eligible for some amazing prize packs. You got to check it out, including some things curated by me, Tony Katz. We'll have a live Eat, Drink, Smoke show and a live Gun Guy show with Guy Relford. So join us on Saturday, April 15th from 3 to 7 p.m. to support Brownsburg Blessing Boxes at Premier Arms in Brownsburg. See you then.
Shop Drexel Interiors for carpet and get free padding. Yes, buy carpet, get free padding. Only at Drexel Interiors. Visit Drexel in Carmel or on North Shaylin. Find Drexel at drexel-in.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Yacht rock.
I don't know why Hammer would do this to us.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. I'm Rob. Red Kloppenstein in for Casey. All right, so Kash Patel, he was a part of the Trump administration, had a variety of different jobs there. A friend of the show, we had him on. I think it was last year we had him on. But anyway, he has been kind of making the media rounds, and he had a really interesting take on how Trump is being treated by Democrat left Soros prosecutors, district attorneys, attorney generals, compared to how the Republicans are essentially doing nothing, attorney generals, district attorneys, when it comes to the Biden administration and the Biden people. And I thought this was an interesting take. He says, hey, you got to start fighting fire with fire and treating them the way they're treating us.
I'll tell you how, and it's not going to be popular, and I'm not going to talk about Soros-funded prosecutors. I'm going to talk about the state attorney generals and the district attorneys who are Republicans in the majority of states and districts across America who aren't impaneling grand juries to investigate anything related to George Soros, anything related to corruption and fraud, anything related to the CCP and ties to BLM, or any types of funding that could prove illegal. And I'm not saying it's automatically illegal, but what the Democrats and Soros and company do better than us is impanel grand juries across the jurisdictions from East Coast to West Coast, and one or two of them pop with a criminal conviction or charge, and that leads to a conviction. And they're winning the media campaign because the mainstream media has monopolized the two-tier system of justice to say, oh, that actually doesn't exist. We're just bringing charges when citizens of your community warrant it. Our Republican DAs and AGs are failing across the board. I've called them out by name. I've called them out in groups, and they refuse to act. You know what they say, Benny? In quiet, they say, this too shall pass. That's the losing mentality.
I think he makes a great point. And obviously the whole thing is ridiculous because the justice system, the law, the courts are supposed to be totally neutral. Politics has no place there. And yet it's totally hyper-infused with politics now. So while it shouldn't be happening, period, you got to stand up for yourself at some point, right? And say, okay, if this is the way the thing works, then this is the way the thing works.
Right. If this is the game that we have, or this is the rules of the game, we got to play by these rules now. Can we get George Soros on as a guest?
Oh boy, I'm sure he'd love to come on this program.
Maybe even
fit right
fill in, co-host one day with you.
That'd be great, Brad. What a tremendous idea.
I'm an idea guy.
Well, that's why you've become so successful in life. Lots of ideas. Very little action on the ideas, but lots of ideas. Ron Paul, you like him, right?
I do like Ron Paul. I had dinner with him 20 years ago.
What did you tell?
It was a convention, a libertarian convention. Actually, it was here in Indianapolis, and I was at a table of 8, one of those round tables of 8. That
remember what you ate?
Chicken of some sort. I'm sure it was some sort of rubber chicken.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was at a
expect
table.
The libertarians to spring for some sort of steak option of some sort.
I'm sure that there was some sort of carnivore option as well as some sort of vegan option.
Yeah,
the table in the back. But no, he was a very nice man.
Yeah, so he obviously was a member of Congress for a long time, ran for president multiple times. And I feel safe in saying this, and I think many people will say this. He is one of the people that inspired me to want to get into politics, to want to get off the sidelines and get engaged in the game, and I think that's probably going to be the lasting legacy of Ron Paul. There's a lot of people who are my age. I'm 39, between the ages of 35 and 55, that he really inspired to get into politics. And he has a podcast now, a video thing he does each week, and thought he had an interesting take on Trump and the deep state and why the deep state is terrified of Trump. Take a listen.
I think they're scared to death of him. And in some ways, I think it's related to how the country, Republicans and Democrats, finally turned against Kennedy. At least the deep state turned against Kennedy because his instincts were that he was not for the war. But he was still engulfed in it. He was in the middle of what was dumped on him by the Eisenhower administration, both in Cuba and Vietnam. There were two hot spots. And he, and then they decided he has to go. This is on Trump. I think it's that they're more terrified than anything else that he's going to blurt out the truth, and actually, tell them what's really happening, and that's enough to galvanize. And then there's the power struggles. I predict it's going to make him stronger, but I don't know when. Maybe not this afternoon or next week or even in the election. Who knows?
The deep state, Rob.
Well, look, here's the deal, Brad. There's definitely a cabal in this country. There's no doubt that there's nameless, faceless bureaucrats who are weaponizing their positions in the government to destroy people they don't like. Now, is that every person in the government? No, but there's no doubt. I mean, look at what Trump's gone through. Look at what the Tea Party groups went through before that. These people are out there, and they're getting more and more blatant about it and more aggressive about it.
Indiana might have an attorney general that would fall into that category.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I saw Rokita at the event last night, the Hamilton County.
Did he come up and say hi?
Well, he was right next to me, and I was anticipating him to come up and say hello, and he turned around and went the other way. And that was very disappointing. But Rokita's a great example. Somebody asked me last night, they said, what's your deal with Rokita? I said, I like a lot of Rokita's politics. He has no business being attorney general, though, because he infuses his politics big time into that office and is the chief law enforcement officer of a state or a district attorney or whatever, politics should not be a part of the equation. Todd Rokita flapping his gums on Fox News about that abortion doctor was ridiculous, and it got himself potentially in big-time trouble. And Rokita does that all the time. He puts his foot in his mouth. It's fine to do that as a congressman. It's fine to do that as a senator. It's fine to do that in almost all the elected offices, except if your job is to pursue legal action against people, then check your politics at the door.
So, I've always said, if you know the name of your state attorney general, there's something wrong.
Yeah, they just probably do something very bad. All right, let's real quick before we go, because Kev pulled this, and I just think it's a good piece of audio. Mike Huckabee, you may remember him. He was the governor of Arkansas. His daughter is now the governor of Arkansas. Boy, that's a very incestuous career path, isn't it?
Well, it's just because the Chelsea Clinton didn't have an interest.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do we see, and his dad was a congressman, and his dad, I mean, look at Jeff Thompson, who controls Ways and Means. He has the creativity of that camera I'm looking at right now, and he's the third most powerful person, arguably, in the whole government, because his dad was a famous, state rep, senator, whatever, and he just said, I look like my dad, and I sound like my dad, and I'll just shut up for 20 years. You can climb to the top of anything if your parent was something influential.
I played golf one time in an outing with Jeff Thompson. I thought he was his dad.
So right? I mean, he could literally blend into that wall. That's how bland Jeff Thompson is and how uncreative. But he is the head of Ways and Means. He controls the money. Point isn't all this. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is governor of Arkansas now, not because she's uber qualified, but because she was Mike Huckabee's daughter, and she got a job with Trump because she was Mike Huckabee's daughter who supported Trump when he ran for president, and now because she was a mediocre press secretary, now she's the governor of Arkansas. I mean, that's how it works. But he did have an interesting take on Trump and the Trump tweets, and he says people should just get over it.
I'm unapologetically a Trump guy. And the reason is because I've never had a president in my life, and that goes back to Eisenhower, who did exactly what he said he would do in the campaign and actually exceeded the expectations that I had. And whether it's energy policy, economic policy, foreign policy, really saving NATO and being the first president since Ronald Reagan not to get us in a war, putting money in the pockets of working class people and bringing manufacturing back, being the champion of religious liberty like no other, being a strong supporter of Israel, issues that really matter to me. Look, I understand that some of his tweets offend people, but get over it. This is a man who has been able to get things done. And Eric, he's done it against the harshest headwinds that any politician in any public office has ever faced. So, it's not a big mystery. I'm making it very clear. I'll be supporting Donald Trump.
It's going to be Trump, isn't it? We're going to be stuck with Trump as the Republican nominee for president.
Rob, I'm going to hold firm on a prediction I made prior to 2020 when we knew the nominees were going to be. I said by the time the election rolls around in 2024, either Trump or Biden will not still be with us. That was largely because of their age. Yeah. And I'm still holding firm that one of those two just will not be here.
Now you mean like not here in politics or no longer
on this earth, possibly?
Well, the show just took a very dark turn, Brad.
It did take a dark turn, although, maybe an accident, somehow they're not able to.
I love that not only did Brad make the prediction, he's now plotting their demise. On it,
Rob, it's going to be on June 7th.
Yeah. In the hallway with the monkey wrench or whatever.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that they're 78 and 80 or whatever they are. I mean, it's just the numbers are the numbers, and any one of them could have any sort of accident or horrible health scare.
Brad, we get it. You think one of them is going to kick the bucket. We get it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Brad, you ever been to, you probably have been to plenty of spring breaks, right?
One or two.
Yeah, you ever been to Miami?
No. Well, I've been to Miami once, but not on spring break.
Not for spring break. Apparently it's getting so bad there, they're going to cancel spring break.
They're going to turn this bus around?
A few bad apples got to ruin it for everyone. We'll talk about it when we come back. 93 WIBC. All right, guys, pay attention, because what I'm about to tell you is going to blow you away. Imagine if you could get a 35% bonus when you invest your money. If you invest $100,000, you get a $35,000 bonus. If you invest $200,000, you get a $70,000 bonus. Learn how you could get a 35% bonus from Bill Demery, your retirement guy. You know by now, Casey and I believe in Bill so much, we became clients too. And not only will you get a 35% bonus, you'll sleep well at night knowing your money is backed by an A-plus insurance company that's been in business for 140 years and has $2.5 trillion in assets. To learn how you could get your 35% bonus, call 317-932-9912. That's Bill Demery at 317-932-9912.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The Kentucky shooter was a Hoosier. I'm Parker Carlson. Here's what's trending at 11:30. 5 people were killed, more were injured as the gunman live streamed his attack.
The suspect has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, white male, 23 years of age, who was employed at Old National Bank.
Louisville Police Chief Gwen Villaroel. She says the suspect, Connor Sturgeon, was from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. He killed 5 people in the bank that he worked with and was killed in the shootout with police. Classified documents leaked from the Pentagon onto Discord, a private server platform popular with gamers. Those docs reveal details about the U.S.'s aid to Ukraine and more, but the National Security Council spokesperson, John Kirby, says that some of those leaked documents were altered. I'm Parker Carlson, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Drexel Interior's warehouse sale has tens of thousands in inventory, including flooring at 50 cents a square foot, cabinets, vanities, and more. Thursday through Saturday only, 3217 Shadeland Avenue.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Your neighbor Mark loves spring in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. This is Rob. I'm out and about in the community for this radio station, and I feel so much better because We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my hairline and my crown area. And this year, they can restore yours too. Call them right now at 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life. I'm very happy I called We Grow Hair Indy. Call right now for your free evaluation. 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. WeGrowHairIndy.com. The gold standard in hair restoration.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
It's the NRA Annual Meetings and Exhibits in Indianapolis, April 14th to 16th. This 3-day event features over 14 acres of the latest guns and gear from the most popular companies in the industry. With entertainment and special events, make plans now for a freedom-filled weekend with activities for the entire family. NRA members and their family get in free. If you're not a member, join online or at the door. Go to nraam.org for more information. That's nraam.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Press trigger, me no press people button. Nobody chat come face me with something.
The Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey today. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to do this show with
Thanks,
you.
Rob. Love being here.
You're one of the kindest, most friendly people I've ever met. I say that every time I see you. I've never seen you not happy. You are one of the few people I've ever met who have never seen you not happy.
I give all credit to my father when I was young. I went through a phase like a lot of people do, and he pretty much told me, he goes, listen, being happy is a decision.
Yeah.
And every day, if you wake up and tell yourself, I'm going to be happy today, you will be.
You think about your life, though. What have you ever had to be unhappy about? You've worked in the booze industry.
I've worked in the booze industry.
Now you're a chamber director.
I've had my struggles. I was unemployed a dozen years or so ago for a stint. And
You sold radio ads for a while, didn't you?
I did sell radio. I was not good at that.
Really? You have such a friendly demeanor. I would have thought you would have been a great salesperson.
So, some of it was where I was and the people I was working with. It was not this building. It was at another place up on Fall Creek Road, but it was a building full of insane people.
Now you can guess where Brad was working at. So part of you always being happy and chipper is you do all sorts of fun things.
I will say I have chosen certain jobs over others because of the fun factor or the ability to come up with a good story.
And you strike me, you were a Purdue guy, weren't you?
I'm a Boilermaker.
Yeah, you strike me as a guy who in your college days, now not just college per se, but the younger version of you was a spring break person.
I will say college was the best thing that ever happened to Brad Kloppenstein.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of a quiet, nerdy guy in high school.
And then you turned into John college. I'm like,
this is fantastic.
Yeah. So spring break, is that something you did quite a bit?
So we went down to South Padre Island one year on spring break, I know. I think one year we went to Daytona.
I was far too poor to afford spring break. I was always working during spring break. Kev, you strike me as somebody who did some unspeakable things on spring break in your life.
Actually never went on a spring break trip.
No kidding.
What?
I mean, I went on like one family trip to Arizona during my spring break, and that was the only time I traveled during that.
So, Casey let her daughter go. Well, I mean, her daughter's 21 years old, so I guess she can do what she wants. But Casey allowed, permitted, didn't object to her daughter going to spring break this year. And my kid is never going on spring break. Like, that is nothing good, nothing productive in terms of the future of your life ever has happened on spring break.
I've heard of people that I've known, not personally, but people have died on spring
absolutely.
break.
Well, yeah.
Did
alcohol
anybody,
poisoning and
anything bad ever happen to you on any of your spring break ventures?
No. Probably made out with a couple of people I shouldn't have made out with. But
well, apparently, Brad, it's getting so bad in Miami that the Miami City Council is now taking measures to essentially shut down spring break beginning in 2024.
Now, Rob, I cannot believe this. In my mind, the cities where there are bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, they all go to either Las Vegas, Nashville, or Miami. And for Miami to say, we are getting out of the fun business, are you kidding me? I mean, the town was built on vacationing and having people come down and having a good time. And so, I mean, Yeah, they've already implemented a curfew for 2024.
Here's the dealio with Miami. By the way, one of the major things they've done to do this is they're announcing it a year ahead of time. They're enacting a curfew beginning in 2024. And the quote, this is Alex Fernandez, a city commissioner, said, Miami Beach is shutting the door on spring break once and for all. Boy, talk about the welcome committee.
Yeah, that's kind of like the city of Indianapolis saying that Indy 500 really creates a lot of problems. We would like to just see that move away.
Yeah, I mean, now I guess Miami Beach is technically a little different than Miami per se, but you get the idea, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sure, there's plenty of places in Miami you can go where there is not an actual curfew, but in terms of where the spring breakers go, which is Miami Beach, well, if you can't be out late, that's half the fun, is running around being a maniac.
It is. So which Florida has had, they've moved around. I mean, when I was a kid back in the 80s, Fort Lauderdale was the big kind of party town, and Fort Lauderdale pushed that out. And then I think it went to Daytona, and Daytona said, we're going to push it out. And it's been various different places, and now it's kind of Miami, but they make a lot of money on that. It's hard to turn your back on it.
Yeah, so look, here's the reality of this, though. And I've thought this, like, even being in downtown Indianapolis, and I've thought this, or Broad Ripple, and I've thought this for years, long before the violence was completely out of control. You got to really know what you're doing when you go out having fun. And by that, I mean, you got to really know how much you can drink. You got to really know who's around you. You got to know where you're at, where you can go, where you can't go. And that's hard enough to do in an area where you know the area. Like, I mean, there was a while in Broad Ripple where this was the middle part of the last decade or early part of the last decade where there was a lot of violent crime. However, the violent crime was largely done in alleyways and dark streets. So you knew if you went to Broad Ripple, stay out of the alleyways, stay out of the dark streets, and you got about a 99.5% chance of being totally fine. But if you don't know that, if you go to an area, spring break, whatever, where you're not familiar with where exactly to go, you can walk yourself into a world of trouble, especially if you're not really taking care of yourself.
Right, and that happened. It can happen a number of places, and Miami has its seedy area. I mean, heck, almost all of Mexico now, if you're not careful and you venture off the resort, you can get yourself in trouble. So Miami somehow needs to find that balance, and maybe they've just decided that spring breakers who are always looking for dollar beers and end up puking all over your sidewalks and you got to clean that up, maybe they don't want that. Maybe that's what they're trying to say, that we want more of the adult version of the partier spring breakers as opposed to the college age.
All right, let's switch gears here. Brad, you were very excited to talk about this. So Tulsi Gabbard, you remember her?
I remember. I remember.
Yeah, she was a U.S. rep from Hawaii, ran for president, Democrat, but very libertarian on a lot of things.
There were a lot of things that I had in common with her politically.
So she tweeted this out yesterday, and she said, quote, "The U.S. federal government has just begun implementing a centralized digital currency project to bring about a cashless society where every transaction we make is tracked, monitored, and controlled, thus undermining our autonomy and freedom. To protect our freedom, we must all stand together in rejecting this effort to institute a digital cashless society." And I knew you were going to do that because you always carry large quantities. Well, not large, but you always have plenty of cash on you at all times. And I knew that because you're a good libertarian.
I've got a little bit more than normal. But yes, I do carry cash, although my wife never carries cash ever.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I will notice that she has looted my money clip because she needs money for school for some project or donation or whatever. Kevin, how much money do you have in your pocket right now?
I don't actually have any cash on me.
I knew it. I knew you would not have a single damn dollar on you. Do you usually not have any money on you?
I don't carry cash or coins.
Yeah,
nowadays.
see that, and I think that is a more and more, because when I read this, I go, oh my gosh, it's so scary. But then I thought through it logically and thought, okay, well, there's one thing about a centralized digital currency. I don't know. Do we count a credit card? That's not really a centralized digital currency.
Sort of. It's traceable. When I was a kid, my grandfather was always like, yeah, you got to have a couple bucks on you. You don't want them to think that you're a vagrant. So I call this my vagrancy dollar.
So part of it, when I started thinking through it logically, I thought, well, okay, I use a credit card more often than not. But I also recognize I kind of know I'm being tracked by using this credit card. Clearly, most people know that because you get points or whatever they call them, where you make money by using your credit card. They encourage you to use your credit card, and they have to track that so they can give you the money.
As a retailer, I have to pay 3.5% to the credit card company, and for the convenience of it, I've accepted that that's the way the world works. However, I don't like it. So if I'm going someplace and I'm only going to spend $10 on something, here's the whole $10. You don't have to give 50 cents to Visa.
And in my new part-time job, which we were just talking about off air, I have one of the things I had to do is get a liquor license, and there is an opportunity for people to throw dollars your way on top of the purchase that they're making. And I really didn't understand, because I've never worked in the service industry before, how much you can actually really help people out by paying cash for your, certainly your tipping, obviously, because of the way that gets reported.
Well, and Rob, I am sure that you report 100% of the tips that are given to you, but there are some scofflaws out there that do not fully embrace the law and try to hide some of those cases.
But when you use a credit card, even if you are to, and every business is different, oftentimes they will allow the servers or bartenders or whatever to take cash immediately off of the tip on the credit card, but that is still tracked, and you are still totally 100% taxed on that.
There is. Now, I've never heard of a place passing on the 3% credit card charge onto the tip to the server, but most places now, I think, on the tip money that a server earns, that ends up going on a paycheck, so whatever their pay cycle is. So rarely are people servers able to take cash home that night.
I don't want the government involved in much of anything, though, and the idea of a digital currency, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe way off on this. I view a credit card as different because I'm making a transaction with a private company to have that credit card, and I can quit it at any time, and I could live off cash if I want to. I mean, I just want free money, basically, and it's not like I'm buying anything nefarious or something that's going to put me on a watch list. So what do I care if somebody sees, this guy went to Walmart and bought groceries? Yeah, I sure did. I just talked about it in front of 15,000 people just heard me say it. So what, that sort of thing, and I can opt out of it at any time. But the digital currency thing really does bother me.
It bothers me too. I just like having that hard currency and having something that's non-traceable.
Yeah.
Even though it's got stuff that's in there, but yeah, I would rather keep the hard dollars.
All right. When we come back, Emmy Hildebrand, she's with an awesome group helping veterans throughout Central Indiana. They've got a big event coming up, and we're going to talk about how you can be a part of it, how you can support the vets. And Brad. That's coming up next. Brad Kloppenstein in for Casey. It's Kendall and Casey Show at 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, more detail on the leaked documents from the Pentagon and Representative Kat Kamek on what we're seeing on Capitol Hill. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Indianapolis is the crossroads of America, the crown jewel of the Midwest.
I'm Jefferson Shreve. I grew up in Perry Township on the south side. I've stayed pretty close to home. Indianapolis, Indiana is my home. The first part of my life was focused on growing a business. And in doing that, I've done some good. Employed quite a few people.
But with a crumbling infrastructure and record-breaking crime, can we still say Indy is a jewel of a city?
I think sadly, we've had better, shinier, happier days in our past than we are at today.
Jefferson Shreve has a plan. Hire more police, give them the support they need, and let them do their job. Because we don't have to live like this.
Strong leaders can pull people into a cause and motivate them.
What Indy needs now is a leader with a plan.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I need your vote for Mayor of Indianapolis.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
This is another ad about hiring. But it's not just another ad about hiring. R.E. Diamond & Associates has opened a special position, a construction project manager, for the right person. If you're well-versed in all construction methodologies and procedures, MEPT, and have an analytical mind, this might be the right fit for you. If you bring the experience, deep understanding of the construction process, and outstanding communication skills, R.E. Diamond will meet you with competitive pay, a great benefits package, and a work culture and environment that's second to none.
Hi, this is James Darnell, Vice President of Information and Communications Technology with R.E. Diamond &
Associates. We were just voted one of the best places to work in Indiana. Our expertise, integrity, and organizational culture make us a great place to continue building your career. We emphasize service and respect for our clients and pride ourselves on having the majority of our clients as repeat ones.
To find out more, Google R.E. Diamond. That's R.E. Diamond. Or to speak with an R.E. Diamond representative, call 317-634-4672.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Everyone knows that soaking in Epsom salts can make you feel better. Now imagine soaking in Epsom salts in a Royal Spa hot tub.
Ah, Royal Spa.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey show. Let's go to the drivehubler.com hotline. Big event coming up to help local veterans and their families. And it is for a very fabulous group. We've talked about them on the show before. Helping Veterans and Families locally right here in Central Indiana is the name of the organization. Joining us now is the CEO of Helping Veterans and Families, Emmy Hildebrand. Emmy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing just great. So first of all, before we talk about this big event that's going to really be a spectacular way to help local veterans and families, show your support for veterans, tell us about Helping Veterans and Families, what you guys do and what the mission is.
Helping Veterans and Families, HVAF of Indiana, is a local nonprofit, just as you said, dedicated to ending veteran homelessness here in our community. And this is a big year for us. We're celebrating 30 years of serving veterans. So we just want to join with our community and, first of all, celebrate 30 years is a big accomplishment for a nonprofit. And just, take a moment to recognize the impact we're making in our community. Last year, we served over 1,265 veterans in all of our programs and distributed almost 70,000 pounds of food and clothes to veterans in need. So the need is big. And we're excited to partner with our community to keep serving.
Well, yeah, and you think about, you say 30 years, and people all the time are saying, hey, I love to help. I want to, be a part of the community. I want to help our veterans. It's amazing groups like yours are out there, and you guys have been around, and you've been doing this and having great results with helping veterans and families for 30 years.
It's very true. And then we have a really fun way for people to get involved and to help. It's coming up on Saturday, June 3rd. we're planning a concert called Music at the Memorial. It'll be on the steps of the War Memorial. And it's a really incredible story. We had a great young man. His name is Trey Taylor. He's a recording artist in Nashville, Tennessee. Also a military kid. He heard about the work that we're doing and wanted to get involved. So he reached out to us, actually, and is donating his time to play a free concert to celebrate the work that we're doing and kind of raise awareness about veteran homelessness and how we can all work together to end it.
Now, people might have heard free and their ears are popping up. There is a small fee to get in. It's the artists, correct, that are performing for free. There is a fee to get in, and that fee is going to go to a great cause and helping you guys do the work that you do.
So let me clarify. The artists are performing for free, but we are charging only $30 for tickets to attend. So $30 to help end veteran homelessness is a great deal. It is scheduled for Saturday, June 3rd at 5 p.m. It'll be at the Indiana War Memorial there on the front steps along Michigan Street. We have 3 artists lined up to perform. Again, tickets are just $30. And we're also looking for people who might want to sponsor. We've got a $1,000 Patriot level sponsor, as well as a special anniversary $3,000 sponsor. And for those who are really generous and want to be a presenting sponsor, we're asking $10,000. So everything helps, and we're looking forward to a good time to celebrate 30 years of serving, but also just kind of renew the commitment that we owe to our veterans to help them when they fall on hard times.
Emmy Hildebrand is our guest. Couple minutes left with her. She's with Helping Veterans and Families. So when people say, hey, I want to know where the money's going, I want to know what do I get? How do I know that my money goes to help veterans? What do you guys do with the monies, whether it is people donating or the concert like this? How can they feel good about where their dollars are being placed?
The first thing I would say is come to HVAF. We're at the corner of 10th and Pennsylvania and see firsthand the work that we're doing. But all of our funds are used to serve veterans. So we offer housing assistance, employment and legal services, as well as basic needs assistance through food, clothing, and hygiene items. And that's where the money goes. We are fortunate to receive grants from the Department of Veterans Affairs and other organizations, but it doesn't ever meet the full need of the veteran. And that's what we're trying to do at HVAF, and that's what we use this funding for.
Yeah, and I love you guys. And we're actually going to be partnering together a little bit later this year, right? We're going to be doing some stuff to raise money for helping veterans and families.
We are. The Indiana Breeders' Crown Race is coming up in October, and you're going to be our celebrity host to help us win an online contest and hopefully some funding to support the work that we're doing. So thank you for being willing to do that, and we're looking forward to that as well.
Well, you guys are really scraping the bottom of the barrel if I'm your celebrity celebrity helper. Emmy, again, I think this concert's going to be so great. It's an opportunity for people to give. It's an opportunity for people to be a part of a great cause and get some great music in the process. One final time before I let you go, let everybody know about it.
It is scheduled for Saturday, June 3rd, 5 p.m. at the War Memorial. There's more information on our website, which is hvaf.org. But tickets are only $30, and it'll be a great time.
Helping Veterans and Families CEO Emmy Hildebrand, thank you, and thanks for all you guys do for the veterans. They deserve everything, and it's awesome that people like you are out there helping them.
Well, thanks, Rob. We really appreciate your support, too.
All right, that is going to do it for us today. Appreciate each and every one of you being with us. Great job by Kevin on the board. Thanks to Brad for filling in. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. It is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Maybe you want to sell your house, but you're worried because your home needs costly repairs or upgrades. No worries. With Mark Dietel, the only real estate agent I trust to sell my house, and he guarantees your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or he's going to buy it. How about Brandy in Indianapolis? She had an investment property and needed to sell, but she was certain she had missed a